help you do that.
May I ask where the defensiveness is coming from at this point for you?
That wasn't defensive. I just want to be completely done with this. Mentally, I'm checked out. So it's just like.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book 91. Listen, it's another one of those shows. Again, this one's my matter at first sight. Can I be honest with you? A lot of people need to get a smoke here. And the experts need to take a lot of the smoke as well. How dare they? In their dairy, audacity, bodacious, courageous behavior. How dare they be so enigmatic about pew-pewing, David and my guy Madison out here. You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah? How we smoking them to the point where Dr. Pierre says, I've lost all respect for you. Pastor Cal was vexed because he put the ring on the table. He wasn't saying nothing. He just put the ring on the table. And Pastor Cal, well, that's besides the point anyway. Bro, we didn't want to be here. Yeah? He doesn't want to be there. And you knew that Michelle don't want to be there, but we are begging and pretending as if Michelle was turning the corner like the Titanic was turning around in the Great Atlantic Sea. My guy, it wasn't turning. Okay? Better yet, we have more smoke for David and Madison than for actually having for Ike in this episode. Well, actually, that was last week's episode. Right? But we get to see them twice, and you want to smoke them twice. You know what I'm saying to you? We're looking so disgusted as if you didn't put two people together that weren't meant to be together. Right? You put them together. You're the one that failed to put them together. You put them together. You said it'll be a good match. They weren't a good match. And you know they weren't a good match. You knew that David being in the basement was going to irritate Michelle. Take accountability, experts. You don't get to be on your high horse. You know what I'm saying to you? You don't get to be on your high horse. This is not one of the things, I could not have foreseen it happening. No, we couldn't foreseen it happening, you know what I mean? Because you put two people that weren't meant to be together. Right? And as everyone keeps saying, yes, Pastor Cal and Dr. P were rolling their eyes. You know what I'm saying? She's showing that contemptuous behavior. Yeah? Now, I want to be very honest. If they rolled the smoke out for everybody equally, I'd have been happy. Okay? Now, can we talk about the fact that JUAN and Karla, real quick, this is my real quick recap. How is it Karla got to the end of the season? And I'm not even going to talk about Karla, but how is it we got to the end of the season? They're both saying no, and we didn't even really know why they're saying no. Now, we know, but we don't actually know. Why is it that we know, but we don't know? Right? Why is it we don't know, but we know why JUAN and Karla are saying no at the end of the decision day? Why is it that the experts, Dr. Pia, Professor Cal, they're just so nice that... Wait. They're so nice, so you couldn't see beyond the niceness. You could not see beyond the pretentiousness. Right? You could not see beyond the pretentiousness of the niceness by JUAN and Karla. But again, I also understand you got a job to do. Y'all needed them to get to the end, and you needed them to get to the end so that you can have at least a decent decision day. So you have two couples. But realistically, you never held JUAN accountable, and you never really pushed Karla either. But more specifically, Karla said she found JUAN accountable. I keep saying JUAN, but you know what I'm saying to you. She found JUAN attractive, right? She found him attractive. She wanted to try. At least I'll give her that. You know what I'm saying to you? Although she ain't got a... She's homeless, but anyway. You know what I'm saying to you? She actually tried. But the reality of the situation is, when it comes to JUAN and Karla, y'all didn't push JUAN at all. You didn't push him. And meanwhile, he was giving you cookie cutter answers. Yeah, giving you cookie cutter answers. I can't say that with this Invisalign. I'll tell you this now. This Invisalign is drawing me up. Yeah? We're giving cookie cutter answers, and then we are not holding them accountable for the cookie cutter answers. And then we get to decision day, and JUAN is apologizing. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there for you more than that. No, nigga. Nah, nigga. Okay, all right. Nah. No. Don't do that. Okay, now there was some real issue between Juan and Karla that we didn't actually get to express, right? There was a reason why he was turned off, because in the very beginning he seemed to be on it, and then after the trip on the honeymoon he went off. Something happened, but we didn't pursue that. We didn't push it further. We don't know what really happened. Something happened and we didn't get more answers. Do you get what I'm saying to you? But we got this friendship. You're meant to be in a marriage. And that's what I was looking at. I was like, wait, what happened? Experts, why didn't you push this? Because they're nice? Pastor Kyle, they never even got intimate, my guy. So why was there no push? Look, I'm going to be honest with you. David and Madison need all the smoke. Because, again, I want to be very honest. The apologies that they gave to Alan specifically were abysmal and shocking. Okay? All right? Were abysmal and shocking. All right? Abysmal and shocking. I won't lie to you. Abysmal and shocking. But we have to be very honest. We have to be very real. Oh, sorry. We have to be very honest and very real. Okay, all right. That they were held more accountable. At least they were being cussed out more than anyone else. But the reality of the situation is, we left another couple just to be on their own. So we actually don't know Wagwan. Yeah, we don't know Wagwan. So listen, we're gonna chop it up today. I'm gonna get a few of the mans on as well. I'm sure they'll come in as they do as time goes on. But yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today. I can't lie to you. We got some stuff to talk about as well. So listen, let me just see. That's the membership. If you want the membership as well to join, I'm going to put it in the link as well so you guys get it. So I'm going to put the link in there as well. Okay, all right. There we go. So the membership link is in there for you guys if you want to join the membership as well, right? Because we're going to go members only in a few minutes' time. I want to quickly run through a few things just real quick, because obviously I thought like it'd be good to kind of run through the Juan and Karla situation. Someone said, I also think the experts were walking around, well, calmer with Ike because he's walking around undiagnosed. Yeah, but they left MM to it though. So that's the only thing. They could have. I would buy that excuse, but they left MM unprotected. So that doesn't make no sense. Not to say you're not making any sense. I'm saying for them it wouldn't make sense. Like, it sounds good that they didn't want to call him out because he was undiagnosed or they saw some undiagnosed behavior, but they left him in. You get what I'm saying to you? They left MM to fight with somebody who is undiagnosed. So they get no excuses, which is why I'm saying to you that behavior is shambolic, because what we saw was them trying to make them stay in a relationship together. Now, MM has to take some accountability because she was trying to stay in that relationship, calling that man her husband. At times, she didn't call that man her husband. So she has to take some accountability too, okay? But not holding him accountable, right? Because he may be undiagnosed, they're a problem too, the experts, because they really should have. You know what I mean? They should have. So for me personally, yeah, I'm disappointed in the experts with all the smoke they were willing to give everybody else. But let me just play a little bit of Juan and Karla situation. I'm gonna play a little bit of the Karla.
Filled for there to be flexibility in other areas.
I hear you, and I'm sorry.
Okay, so Juan and Karla situation, right? The Juan and Karla situation. So as we just saw with Juan and Karla, right? Their conversation, what Karla was actually saying, Karla was actually being really nice. Now, she wasn't trying to out him, and I get it, I hear it, but it was way too nice because we weren't actually really getting the real out of you. And I wish the experts would have gone, well, let's ask some real questions because this marriage didn't work out. Yet you guys were being so nice to each other, and it coming to all our sessions like everything was okay, but nothing was okay. So let's go a little bit deeper. So what did Karla just say? Well, he actually wasn't really as giving in the space of him being open with activities. But I'll play a little bit more of the clip and you can see what I'm going to say, okay? Let's hold on now. Okay.
Together. So it made me feel like there was like a lack of care of what like my plans were, even making like plans together. But there was also like lack of affection in so many.
All right, so a lot of times, sorry, my brother, sorry, Trey. Yeah, so as you just said there was a lack of affection in the relationship, right? A lack of it. Now, my thing is this: they had several tasks that were trying to help them have better intimacy in their relationship, and in that space, what they were trying to do, right? We saw Juan doing not the Kama Sutra. They were doing the tantric yoga. And we saw what poses he chose. None of them were intimate. Now, they were never pulled up on this and never called to action or called to task. So actually, Juan and Karla kind of skated underneath the surface. And yet, the tasks that were happening, Juan wasn't even putting his heart into it. Something happened, and we don't know why. Something happened. Something changed, and we don't know why. That man was unable to open himself up to her. And then we didn't really get an answer as to why he's not opening up to her. We had to read between the lines to be able to understand it. And even then, we weren't fully aware of it.
Other ways, there was no like physical touch. Whether that was like a hug coming home from work, make me feel that you were even interested. So
we're getting no touches, no hugs, no kisses. We're getting no intimacy here. Hold on a minute, Karla, now. Why were we not complaining about this through the course of the whole season? You know what I'm saying to you? Why were we not complaining about this through the whole course of the season? He was coming in home every single day and not touching you, sis. Now, she did complain in the very beginning, but through the course of the relationship, you just accepted it. We just accepted it. Right? We just accepted it. But you're not getting no hugs, no kisses. So why are we not bringing that up to the experts? So we can start to dive deeper. Right?
there's like the love bucket wasn't like filled for there to be flexibility in other areas.
Okay, so again, once more, she said about, because for her, she couldn't actually, so for instance, when she asked him about going gym, right, they both went to the gym. Well, she does Pilates, he does gym. He wants to do gym at 6 a.m. and said, do you want to come along? But she didn't want to go out at 6 a.m. I think what we're really witnessing is, I know that one was unflexible. I don't know how flexible she was, right? So for him, it's like, you're either on my program or you're not. You're either on or you're not. You're either with me or you're not with me. You're either doing what I'm doing or you're not. An example that she gave was him going to the gym and him saying, yeah, I'll go to the gym with you, but at 6 a.m. Yeah, I think there wasn't flexibility on both of the ends. Yeah. You know, I think it was.
I hear you, and I'm sorry that I couldn't do that. But I just never felt that, that magnetism towards her.
I believe that some...
So he never felt that magnetism. What was missing? Juan, what was missing? You see, these are the key questions we should have been asking. I never felt that magnetism towards her. We're at the end of the season. What are we going to do with this information? The time the experts should have been probing and pressing and getting deeper to get more information, we weren't doing it. Now we're at the end of the season and they're going to say no. Come on.
Sometimes when we don't allow ourselves to experience something outside of what we might feel, and you're like, I'm not feeling good about this, it's not clicking.
So obviously they pushed it on to Juan about him not being about how he feels, we heard about how for him, he didn't feel like she was stimulating him in a sense, right? Now I could understand that. Like, you want a woman that's going to inspire you. I've told you this already. Like, no man should be marrying any woman that doesn't inspire them, because that man that doesn't get inspired by you will not die for you. I'll be honest with you. That man that's not inspired by you will not die for you. So you want a woman that's going to inspire you. You get what I'm saying to you. You want a woman that's going to inspire you and make you want to do greater. And I don't think he felt like that with Karla. I don't think Juan really felt like Karla was going to ignite his passion. You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah, I don't think it was going to ignite the passion. Simple as.
Right now, you know, I think sometimes you're going to do yourself a disservice if you just go on those feelings and not go on the fact that this person has all the values that are necessary. This person has all the qualities that are necessary to make me an incredible partner. Because
Now he said that she had all the great qualities that he was looking for in a partner. So she had all the great qualities that you wanted in a partner. I see you, Trey, by the way. All the great things that you need in a partner. Yet you couldn't touch her, couldn't be around her, couldn't be physical with her, couldn't, you know, you struggled. You did tantric yoga, but did it with doing things that were going to create more distance and actually create more closeness. Someone says she needs a home and a job. I hear it.
I don't feel it right now. I'm going to let it pass. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I hear you, yeah. And, you know, she does fulfill a lot of the things that I was looking for. And
it's problematic. But anyway, listen, I'll do a deeper dive another day, because I want to do a deep dive on them probably tomorrow, where I can really fully do a dive on them, because I think there's a lot more to discuss. I want to go through their video and just kind of break it all the way down for you guys, because there's a lot to break down with them. But yeah, I honestly, yeah, I don't know. There's some weird stuff that was going on, and it's because Juan and Karla weren't really honest about what they really were, and I think that's why it's frustrating. Because someone said about the spiritual stuff came up. He mentioned it. He said, "I don't really do the spiritual stuff," and I said, "Okay, right. So that can be a major thing. Okay, so that can be a major thing." I was like, "All right." Like I said, these are the things that the experts should have explored. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Like, that's why after how many seasons we're at now, this is not the beginning of the shows, at this part of the seasons where we're on the 18th season, the last few seasons have felt contrived and they have felt devilish. In the sense that the experts have picked people on purpose. It feels like they picked people on entertainment purposes. It feels like it. It feels like for the last few seasons, maybe the last 4 or 5, have been contrived and intentional with the way they picked people. But hey, I'll leave it there. Okay, let me get Trey on. Trey, brother.
Evening, bro. What's going on?
What is good, bro?
You know, we out here trying to survive, make it through. You know.
I hear it, bro. I hear it, bro. What's your thoughts on this overall season anyway, man?
The overall season?
Sorry, this overall episode.
Oh, this episode. This was probably the fastest decision day that we've had. Like, if you notice, everything was pew, 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 pew. Got through it, got to the point. They didn't drag it out. A part of me appreciates that. The other part of me, like, yeah, y'all never really had much anyway. So let's just get this over with and done. Just get through this. There was really only one couple that we thought maybe could make it, and they kind of did. We see how long that lasts, but it is what it is. You know, I think this season was a crapshoot. They knew it was going in the bin. Let's just go ahead and get through this and get it over and done with. Because it was fast. It was like, I was like, wow, they barely even talked to these couples. Usually, it take each couple, what, 20 minutes? For 15 to 20 minutes of airtime when they're on decision day by itself. This one's like 5 to 10. Like, wow, it's speeding right through this.
I definitely hear that as well. Definitely hear that. I definitely want to explore some of these couples, because I think there's a lot that was going on with each couple. There's a lot of things that need to be dissected, broken down as well. So we'll take a little bit of it all. Let's go with, obviously, first and foremost, there was David and Madison's conversation that they had. So I've got a little clip for you as well, so you can,
even if it doesn't go very far. I am truly sorry for hurting you and for the pain that I can see that I have caused you. And
now, sorry. And obviously, Madison and Alan, you know, they've had their moments. But what's your thoughts on this episode? Because the experts, no, not this episode, but let me say a specific conversation. Alan, you know, he let her know at the end of that conversation how he felt. You know, Madison herself too, she was like, I think she's been nice nasty. I can't lie to you. When I say nice nasty, what I mean is she pretended to be nice. Meanwhile, she's actually ready to be out of that place.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying to you? A lack of remorse. What's your thoughts on Madison in that particular part of the conversation with experts?
When this was absolutely a setup. Okay, so I'm like, come on. You know, Madison didn't want to be there, really. And Alan really didn't want to see her, but hey, we got some obligations we need to fill, so let's just have this conversation. Now, I will say, if I'm going to let my petty side come through just a teeny bit, this was, for Alan, this was the time, if there was a time to let a little bit of the petty out and how you feel, now's the moment. Okay? Undivided attention, really ain't going to be no back and forth. Say what you got to say. He got a little bit off his chest. You could tell he probably wanted to go harder, but he was like, I'm gonna try and be somewhat of a gentleman about this, and I thought it was okay. He said some very poignant things, was absolutely true, you know, especially when he brought up the fact, like, obviously whatever's going on you and David been happening for weeks. Why are you coming to me dangling the carrot like this? And she tried to sidestep it. Oh, I wasn't dangling the carrot. Well, you know what? Let me stop. I liked the question came up. I didn't like the way Alan posed the question. Because if you think about how Madison and David been trying to push this timeline, they only really said that this is the first time that they acknowledged their feelings for each other at that retreat, so within the last week or so. But obviously, we're not stupid. We know this has been going on for weeks now. Okay, so when the way Alan posed that question, I went, ooh, she has an escape route. There's an escape route built in there. Because she immediately went to, well, first of all, this hadn't happened for weeks. You know, this only happened, this is new between me and David. I really was trying this, that, third. I said, oh, crap. So as soon as she said that, I went, oh, okay. Yeah, he messed up. He just messed up a little bit. I was like, he just needed reworded that. Just reword that a little bit, and he'd been all right. But obviously, he was still in his head because he thinking like we thinking, no, this has been going on for weeks. No matter what you say, this has been going on for weeks. You know, you could try to preface this to make yourself seem better out of all of this. But nah, you were stepping out. It is what it is. And you was dragging me along when obviously, if we've been talking about this, Alan, I have to give Alan his credit. He did tell her, asked her multiple times, what is this? You know, if you don't like me, then that's fine. We can just, you know, leave this alone. But you kept telling him, oh no, I'm still trying, I'm still in this, you're a nice guy, I want to try to do my best to make this work. And you knew it was a lie the whole time. So I think that's really what stung the most. You played in my face. Like, you played in my face. And that part I can totally understand. You should have some anger about that. What up, East?
What I missed? Who we talking about now?
Oh, we haven't even started. We just started talking about the situation between Madison and what's his name? Alan. Thank you, because my name is going in my head. So literally, I played a little clip and I asked a question about how obviously it was handled. So I'll play a little bit more of the clip so you can actually see it, and you can have your personal say on this as well.
And this wasn't something that was intentional. It wasn't something that was planned or, you know, with malicious intent.
Your thoughts on obviously Madison's rendition here, because, you know, was she remorseful? Because it looked like she was over it and ready to get out of there. Can't lie to you. What's your thoughts to that conversation specifically?
I was disappointed in the conversation, but I think it's a conversation that if you've been cheated on in a guy, it's one that you hear oftentimes where it's not a lot of remorse. I mean, it might be framed in a way of like them not wanting to feel bad, and I think Madison just doesn't want to feel bad. She doesn't want that stain on her dress in terms of where she has to be reminded and where she's like, I did this and I hurt this person. Because in reality, like I've always said, Alan is supposed to be the person that she's from a logistical standpoint is supposed to be her ideal candidate. And unfortunately, she kind of went with what she knows, which is David. But to me, it seemed like it was a half-baked apology, because she was essentially just absolving herself and being like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm saying sorry so I don't have to say sorry again. So hopefully you don't feel bad and I can just move on. And that was a disappointing portion of it. I mean, I don't know how many times we want her to apologize, but just how she framed her communication behind it, it seemed like she was just like, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so people can say I apologize, and hopefully I'll be absolved of this dirty feeling that I have currently.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, because I think the apology that she gave was kind of weak. You know, I've been backing them for the last few weeks, you know, and I always will, because I think, like I said, the relationship that they were in, they weren't really wanting to be in it. But Maria's situation was, her apology was weak, and actually, if you really study it and take time with it, the apology is not for Alan. It's for her to, like you said, to alleviate her own guilt that she has, and not necessarily for doing him dirty, but because she looks like the bad person. And that's why I would say that her and Michelle are very closely linked, that it's about an image thing. Because in reality, this conversation with Alan, if someone is really remorseful, you actually hear it in the way that they tell you they're sorry, right? So when you're hearing her say sorry, it's almost like, you know, the constant, oh, it wasn't intentional, wasn't to hurt you. It's like, it doesn't feel ingenuous. It doesn't feel genuine, you know what I'm saying to you? Yes, Madison and David both had very similar apologies. He had David's exact same one as well. If you notice, none of them really said sorry. The word actually, the lacking of the sorry is even what's killing me the most. It's like, you know, it wasn't intentional, wasn't trying to hurt you. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, they must have said my bad, because that's how bad the apologies were. It's just, hey, my bad, and my bad is reserved for when I step on your toes. My bad is not reserved for when you actually do someone really, really dirty. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Right? And at least acknowledge where you went wrong, you know? And so I saw that, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on when we saw them at the very end, because David's apology and Madison's deflection was the exact same thing. But in that beginning part, it's like, all we're asking for at Madison in that situation is like, hey, look, I am sorry. I did drag you along. Where's the ownership? No, I did drag you along. You know what I mean? I did lie to you. I did deflect. You know what I'm saying to you? I did all those things. You know what I mean? Right? Without having to add the explanation. Right? And that's where the problem is. And David did the exact same thing when he first apologized to Alan outside the house when they were at the fire camp place. It was the same shitty apology. It was like, it lacked anything to do with what actually happened, and more to do with, you know, look, I couldn't help myself. I'm so sorry. And whenever someone apologizes like that, you know they don't care. I'm so sorry that, you know, that I did that. I apologize. It was unintentional that I did this. Rather than saying, look, you know what? I am sorry. I did you dirty. I did this. I did that. I did this and I did that. And that, I can understand why you're angry at me. I was wrong. If you can find in your heart to forgive me, cool. If you can't, that's cool. I understand. I have to respect that too. You know what I'm saying to you? But their apologies were both mirroring each other. It was absolutely whack apologies. I have to be honest with you. It was poor apologies there. You know? Yes, Trey.
Now, I want to say the thing. I agree everything you said. Like, to me, in most cases, there are two types of apologies. One for the actual person, an actual apology to that person, and one for yourself, that you're really just apologizing for yourself because of how it made you look. And in this situation, for Madison, she really was apologizing for how this made her look. You know, because it made her look a certain type of way. And she cares about how she is presented, like most people do. But yeah, and this, because out of this whole thing, if you notice, even though he's been a little, cavalier is the wrong word, but David seems to be a lot more willing to just living the truth of, yeah, I cheated. It is what it is. I'm moving on with who I want. Madison's still trying to cook this as, oh, it just happened. I didn't mean for it to happen. Just make, I don't want you to look at me that way. Oh my God. And still trying to use terms like, like the main difference between Madison's apology and David's apology, which I still say they're both fake, was David is trying to have that energy of, you know what? I apologize, but I really don't care. So it is what it is.
He mean it.
Yeah. But the problem is that the big difference is Matt, he said, hey, I'm moving on with her. It is what it is. We're going to do this. Madison's still trying to play this game of, oh, I just want to take some time to myself and figure some things out. That ain't the deal. You moving on with homeboy. Okay? Like, no, you're really not sorry. You just sorry you got caught up in this. That's the only thing you're really sorry about. They really thought they could just drag this out to decision day. So, say no to the prospective. I can't talk tonight. Prospective spouses, and then all of a sudden they just pop up together. Hey, we just discovered each other. It's a better match. No, they got caught. Got put on blast, and now they're just trying to save face. Both of them.
I agree, but I think that's why I've always said that with the cheating, especially in reality TV, like if it's something where they're both partners or there's something like this fiasco, the woman always gets the bigger brunt of it, because David can always hide behind the shadows of, well, she was mean to me and she did me dirty and I wasn't even in a real relationship, which he's used. And even people on the outside like myself, I'm like, I don't care about Michelle because of X, Y, and Z, but he did cheat. Whereas with Madison, she can't really say that. She has more reason. Like if we want to rank it, who has more reason to like be with their partner? Well, Madison does. Alan tops David in every form and fashion, like just from top to bottom. And so Madison doesn't really have the real, I won't say the leverage to cheat. Nobody should cheat. I'm just saying that since she cheated on somebody who's better. Like she cheated on somebody who's worse than the person that she's with. Whereas arguably David cheated with Madison in terms of they're both, in my eyes, they're both crummy people for different reasons. And so I think Madison is always going to get the bigger brunt because the person that she cheated with also wasn't a bad person. And he on paper was so much better than David. But
yeah, it seems like she's trying to explain. She seems like she's trying to explain the way how she cheated down. It's like, okay, this on paper, everybody's going to look and say, this guy does not compare to this guy. Why are you choosing him? It doesn't make sense. Now, the only argument that they really had that I know they probably could never bring up with the experts, because that means they have to bring them to task, is if you really look at it, they might have been a better matchup from the get-go. So why wouldn't they match in the beginning? Why did you put Madison with Alan in the beginning? Because even though they tried to tell us, oh, there was reasons why we did it, I'm still trying to figure out some of those reasons.
With Madison and Alan, I think she needs somebody who isn't an emotional roller coaster. And as much as Alan, as I have been critical of his, like, of how he's presented himself the last couple of weeks, he is more of a level in normal times. He's more even kill type of person. Whereas David, if he doesn't get the way he wants, you saw how he was responding to the experts. He doesn't take criticism very well. He doesn't take he pouts. He's really immature. And so I think Alan probably would have been better for Madison when like some levels of insecurity pop up, or when she needs some type of like when she needs somebody to send. He's also very listening. Like all of the things that David talks about is him receiving things from Madison, like the affirmation and the attention. Whereas when and I haven't really seen him pour that attention into Madison, where I think Alan was very attentive to what Madison wanted, as you can see with him spending all the money and trying to change himself and different things like that. So I do think that they would have been a good match. I see how Michelle would have been good for David, because that dude is a lazy joker, and Michelle ain't supposed to put up with that. And she would have probably been the type of person who would have got him in line if he handled conflict and handled criticism better. But when he doesn't handle criticism well, he didn't handle it well with Juan. He didn't handle it well with any of the people who try to tell him like, hey, this ain't gonna go the way it's gonna go. I think that Michelle, if he would have been receiving of the criticism, she could have pushed him to be more than just a basement dweller. But I think that Madison is comfortable for him.
Well, that's the weird thing. I agree with that, actually. But the weird thing about that is, well, you know, I'm going to be fair. Let's really look at it. In the beginning, to me at least, it seemed like David was willing to get that criticism for her. Michelle checked out on him day one. You know, so that was never going to happen. David was a lot more open in the beginning. And that's why this whole, when it finally got to, I know we'll probably get to it later, but when we finally got to David and Michelle and the experts, my mind was like, all right, I don't know why we having this conversation again, but okay, let's see how this go. And I was fine with everything. I knew they was going to try to break David across the coals, which they did, but they lost me. They completely lost me when Michelle actually said she cared about David. I literally lost my head. I looked at the screen like, what? And then Pastor Cal mainly tried to back it up. I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? You playing right now. You know this woman didn't want him or like him. And you really trying to play this like she was all in. And we know she wasn't. There's still no excuse for what David did. None. No excuse. But don't sit here and try to misrepresent the situation for what it was. You know, and David, he doesn't know how to argue well because he just shuts down. You know what I'm saying? Because you could tell that was in his head when she said it, like, are you serious? And then when Pascal backed it up, so he looked at him, are you serious? Like, you really just said that? Like, okay, yeah. My mind was gone when she said that. They tried to jump that lie off. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
That is why I was a little bit like, I won't say eye rolling, but I was a little agitated with the experts because they seem real. Like, granted, no therapist should be biased or should have their own personal spin on it. Again, this is an experiment, but I think that they were so heavy on nailing David to the cross, and he should be held accountable. I guess that they went into it without getting a lot of answers, and they should know that that man is volatile and probably is going to shut down. And they just kept drilling, and I think they were more upset about the cheating, which again, they should be, but you're a therapist, and your experts, you're supposed to kind of be like a bipartisan, like be just a soundboard for them to kind of get their stuff off. And I think that they were trying to hold him too accountable, and that caused him not to learn or for the conversation to progress. That's why Pascal was just like, well, there's nothing here left for anybody to say. But with David, he just doesn't handle that communication line particularly well. And Michelle didn't, I mean, again, she's just trying to win. I mean, you get it towards the end of the show. That's why that lie came out. You get it towards the end of the show where when she felt like Madison and David were winning, she wants to win. All these people are incredibly flawed, and it's okay. That's why it's beautiful to break it down and stuff like that. So everybody could have left or should have stayed. Everybody shouldn't have done something wrong, and also everybody has something that they can work on. And hopefully during this experiment, they did work on that. But with Michelle, her issues with lying was because she wanted to win so much that she had to create that lie to frame herself as, I was really going to give him a chance to try. And I looked at Pascal and I'm like, the same way you, David, you know, that lie came out of nowhere just so she could seem like she's the innocent party and validate her experience and try to invalidate all the things that she did do to David, which again was a lot, but still he should be held accountable.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely feel like he could have. I mean, I wish David probably defended himself a bit better, but because if he really felt like she was not treating him correctly, and I know he said it earlier on in earlier parts of the conversation, he needed to circle back to that moment to let the experts know. But that's just me being a fighter, and I'm like, you know, you put us together, and you know the ones that I told you that this person wasn't trying. So you saying that all of a sudden she did a 360 shift don't make no sense, because she wasn't doing a 360 shift, right? But I think David has to take accountability in the sense of there was some good advice that was given by Dr. Pia, right, where she said about, you said you want to work on yourself, meanwhile you are still pursuing Madison. And I think this is where David and Madison need to be honest with themselves. And I think this is a look, like I said, I think it can still work if they're willing to do the work. If you're willing to do the work, it can work. But if you're not willing to do the work, it won't work. It will work itself out, right? But both David and Madison are both liars to themselves. And that's what makes them liars outwardly. They're not honest with themselves in terms of what they actually want and what they really desire. And then it shows up duplicitously in their actual behaviors. So like when David is saying, for instance, the issue with Michelle, right? There was duplicitousness, because although he did complain about it, right, he didn't actually have an actual plan in terms of how to address the situation in the way that would actually get him the results that he wanted. Now, by all means, by the end, he probably might not have never ever got the result he wanted from Michelle. Michelle, I don't think was ever turning. If she can sit there and tell us she's going to turn, she lied to everybody. I can't really bother to even dive into that. But the reality of the situation is, David, it didn't take long for David to take one or two blows before he already started looking elsewhere. And that's actually the bigger issue with him. He actually has to look into that, because why was it so quick that after one or two blows, I get it, she was a bit rude, I get it, she was disrespectful, I get it, but you are on a show and you signed up to be married at first sight, so why were you so quick to look left at Madison? And Madison too, I know you didn't get on with Alan. We listen, after the wedding, we all could see that Madison, I think we said it earlier in the season, but we kind of let it play out because we weren't 100% sure. But after the wedding, something changed, because they kissed at the altar, and after that, something went downhill after that. The reality was, she was never in it. You know what I'm saying to you? She was never in it. But the problem is that both of them are liars within themselves. And that's why sometimes you almost have to be a dickhead, right? And be a little bit of the douche. Because had David been honest and be like, you know what, I can't lie to you, this ain't working. It ain't gonna work. I don't see it changing. It ain't gonna change. Now, he would have been the villain. He would have been disliked. But in this life, it's better to be the villain now than to be the villain for a long time and unto your death. Because now we're going to always remember him as doing what he did. Rather, if he had been the villain, would have been like, well, at least he went for what he wanted. He knew it weren't going to work. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, and it saves you the trouble of having to fight another situation. Because it really just shows us that you're more passive with the way you deal with things rather than being more assertive. So I just felt like, you know what I'm saying, that there's more that could have been done in the short term with David and Madison in terms of their partners. But like I said, they both lied to themselves when they realized it actually wasn't working. Look, let me be honest with you. They would have had to do something unprecedented, because I don't think it's been done on the show yet. But if it was me and you really felt like this was the one, you've got to do something unprecedented. You've got to break some rules and you've got to change the game. And I'm not talking about just passively, aggressively now seeing each other at the gym. I'm saying you're supposed to have told your partners, this ain't working. I can't deal with you. You can't deal with me. You don't want me. I don't want you. Right? And so listen, let's quit it while we're here. Let's go parlay. Let's keep it cool. You know what I'm saying to you? Copacetic. Right? And then you see if you can explore, and then again you might have had another conversation with Alan. Now I don't think Alan would have had it though. That's the only thing. Alan wasn't going to let that go. But had Madison been honest and said, "Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want you." You got what I'm saying to you? You have to be real. So that's what it takes a lot of balls to do. I can't lie to you, but they that inability to really press in and be honest to themselves, is what's causing now. We're calling the carnage that we're seeing right now, and then we're getting apologies as well, and it's just like it's bad all around. Yeah, Sean, jump in. We haven't heard from you yet.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's Gucci?
Yes, so just General David and Madison and Michelle and Alan, and I guess we're discussing the whole idea of what went down and how they handled the whole situation, including the experts being addressed, addressing them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, listen, I think this was the first time I really was excited for what Dr. Pia had to say. I think she clocked in and she did her big one when it came to the advice she tried to give David and Madison as well. Not so much on her because they didn't really, they had a separate one-on-one together. But you know, my thoughts on the whole scenario really haven't so much changed. I think Michelle was doing what Michelle does, which is, really try to make sure she's not blamed for any of this at all. And, that she's fully vindicated. So, she's going to do that. Not surprised there. But, what I was really disappointed in and continue to be is in David's character. And I think his mask is fully slipped. The good guy, nice guy that he tried to, that he's tried to pretend and try to, pull off that he's long suffering and that she's so mean to him and that's why he did it. It showed itself for what it was because he said it like it was. He never cared for her. And I'm glad he was honest. But I just, to me, when I look at him, and I guess I've always kind of had a sense of this. There's something to that it just comes off very low character. He is no character to me. Just his way of being. Nah, it's not somebody that I could associate myself with. You know what I mean? And it's not to say, oh, you got to be perfect, and I never made a mistake. No, but at the very least, the way he communicates is very immaturely. He was slouched down, sitting in the seat when he talked about, when he was talking about the whole situation. No willingness to hear anything, in terms of from the experts of what he did. He deflected, and then finally, once he's backed in a corner, and finally he has nothing but to do is tell the truth. It's like he's like, all right, here it is, I'm sorry, and take my apology and take it. It's like very like a teenager. It's like you're talking to a teenager. Yeah, I'm not feeling him. Y'all can support him, wish them well in their relationship. I don't necessarily wish anybody the worst, but I really don't care. With the mindset that he has, the mindset that they both have, it's very very sophomoric, very immature. Feeling like they're validated in doing a wrong act when they are in fact married. And I don't care if it's a TV show. When you sign paperwork and you make vows in front of your family and other people to be in a marriage, and you can't figure out what to do in an 8-week process. Yeah, that to me shows you don't have any self-control. You have very limited communication skills, and you're not in a position to be married. And I'm not sure why he came on the show if all he can't be able to communicate, articulate himself enough to say, hey, listen, I'm interested in somebody else. Let's just, make the best of this thing for the next 8 weeks, and then we know we're not choosing each other. Say something off camera. I don't know, whatever they need to do. I don't even think they need to leave the process. We've seen plenty of people end and do something else after the 8 weeks is over. I think Juan and Carla are the perfect example of that, of just saying, hey, listen, we know what we're going to do, but we don't need to be rude. We don't need to drag each other through a whole bunch of hell. We don't have to lie. We don't have to mislead. It ain't working. So that's what I think.
Trey? Question, Trey, so that we can continue the conversation, obviously. In this situation, because we've spoken a lot about David and Madison and everything, etc. Question is, it obviously Alan made a complaint that obviously Madison obviously let him. He told her several times, like, "Yo, you can let me go. If you don't, this is not for you." Da 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 da. My question is, if a woman consistently critiques you or consistently keeps trying to upgrade you, is that a sign that they don't want you? It's a general question involving Madison and Alan, but also a general question as well. Is this a sign? Because obviously this is what happened with Alan and Madison, that she kept on trying to improve him about something, and someone mentioned as well. Shout out to Alan for bringing the suit as well to the show on that thing. But if someone keeps critiquing you and trying to change you,
I think it depends on the situation, but one key thing you said that defines this, when they constantly critique you and then try to upgrade you. I think that's the key word in all of this. What is the actual critique? Is it coming off like you're less than? What you're wearing, how you come across is sucky, or I'm not attracted to it. What does that actually mean? Because sometimes a person can like you, a girl can like you, and she generally wants to, hey, I think you look good in this. Okay, cool. And in that situation, it would be fine. But this one, there were telltale signs that, yeah, it seemed like she was trying to, at least in her mind, get him to look a certain type of way, and maybe that'll work. But the only thing.
What do you think she was doing? What do you think that she was doing by doing that? What do you think she was doing? Because he asked that question and she couldn't really answer. So what do you think she was doing? Because she said she was trying the whole entire time.
And that's the struggle. I'm like, okay. It'd have been, you got this man literally making changes for you. Now, that's mostly on Alan because you agreed to make those changes, bro. But you definitely were suggesting some things, and he was trying to live up to those things. So it's like, it just feels so disingenuous from her that you did this. Like, what was the real purpose of you trying to get him to change his look? Not talk about the way he talked about certain things she even talked about. Like, just the way you said that, like, what, the whole wardrobe change. He spent money. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, the wardrobe change, I might accept because it was nice pieces. He should keep that. It'll help you down the line, bro. Yes, stay on that. But why go through this song and dance? Now, the one thing I will say, I hate to go here, but let's go here. The one thing I will say, it really didn't cost her anything, so why not? It'd have been different if she was the one that took him shopping or buy him a piece or two, this and that third. That's, that actually shows some effort, or that, oh yeah, okay, I'm really into this. Hey, I'll buy you this shirt. Can you wear this? I think you look good at this. No, Alan was the one that put out for all of these changes. So I guess in some way, it's one of those things. It's no skin off her back, really. If she suggests some changes, this and that and third, she doesn't really have any skin in the game, so she could just do that. It'd be different if she actually is fronting for some of this, but buy you a jacket or something. But she didn't. All she got to do was, like, make his little suggestion, and he tried to make the change. So it's like, okay. So from her standpoint, yeah, we want to ask the question, well, why did you do this? Because you say you put forth effort. It was half-ass effort. I'm going to be honest. It was half-ass. And the half that you did put in, why did you even do it when you knew this wasn't really going anywhere? I don't understand why. We're going to talk about it later, but the way we're talking about this, JUAN Karla should be the MVP.
Okay.
He should be the MVP.
Easton, same question to you. Obviously, Alan asked Madison the question. She couldn't really answer it. as to why she did what she did. You know what I mean? Like why she continue on knowing that when she knew that she didn't really want him, she wanted David. Why did she keep dragging him along when Alan said you can leave if you want to leave? Like it's not if it don't have to be me. Well, go on. What's your perspective?
Go back to the woman in this position always gets the bigger grunt, especially when she's doing something nefarious as cheating, because society tells you you're supposed to like a particular type of person. And especially depending on age and even being recorded, Madison is supposed to like Alan. You have the experts, you have them doing their analysis. Alan checks all the marks except for maybe the look. I don't even think it's the looks, because I mean, David was looking kind of tired this episode. He looked stressed. So and David be slouchy. He be wearing sweats and stuff that'd be slouchy. Not to talk about people's looks, but he wasn't like Alan was. Regardless about the broccoli underwear, his fits and stuff was not bad. And so it's that that age old saying or the age old kind of notion that if she likes you, you ain't got to change nothing. She didn't change David. She didn't say cut off your pineapple hair. She didn't say put on some better sweats. She didn't say nothing. She just said she just took him as he was. Alan had to do all this extra stuff. Alan had to go above and beyond. And so in my head, this thing is a situation where there's a lot of pressure, and I don't think a lot of women handle it. I don't think anybody handles it well, but I think that when society tells you you're supposed to like somebody, it's like when a group of friends tell you, oh, try to hook you up with a friend, with a mutual. And they're like, yeah, I got somebody, she's real smart, she's real kind, real pretty. And they might not meet all your standards, how you might like them. And that might be really shallow of you. It might not be. But they keep telling you, hey, you should give this person a chance and keep trying different things like that. And I think that's kind of where Madison was, and as well as not wanting a bad edit. Again, David's ding dong idiot self sent the wrong text message. They would have been scotch free. If he didn't send that text message to the wrong person, they would have been all in the clear. But what ended up happening was he picked the wrong one, because Michelle was Hank the cow dog, and she was trying to find out who the text message was for, and he is a terrible liar. But to stay on the question, I don't think in terms of with Madison and Alan and the changing, I think Alan was the perfect candidate to do that, because he wasn't. I think she was testing him to see if he was going to push back on all the changes that she was going to make. And sometimes, women like a guy who's like, hey, I like what I like, and you're going to have to like it too if you're going to like me. And he was just willing to fold every single way, as well as there comes with a little bit of power when you can maneuver and you can manage somebody to bend at your will. And I think that she ended up doing that. I think that she ended up liking that as well.
Well, right before Sean jumps in, I got to say, Thomas went through the same thing with Camille. The only difference was Camille actually popped for some of those upgrades. That's why I said there's a little bit of a difference. She kind of popped for the upgrades, so it's like, okay, you can at least see some of her effort. Maybe she is somewhat more into him, into this, than versus Madison was into Alan.
Okay. Sean? Why Madison drag Alan?
To continue to cover her, to cover, so she can, have it look as though she's trying to make it work with him. So the best lie has a little bit of truth in it. That's nothing new. So really, she's not attracted to him. There were some opportunities for him from a dress perspective. So she's just going to lean into that and leave that, as a smokescreen. And, I said it early on, and the experts happened to hit on it too with them. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but I said Michelle wouldn't have even considered David had they not been in this process. Because to me, what it looks like from their behavior is very, very immature. It's like teenagers in high school, who, are upset they're throwing a tantrum. They're not getting what they want. They think it should come a particular way. So they're gonna go and do what they want to do and not really care about the consequences. It's like your your frontal cortex is not even developed. And so I think Michelle is like just going through the motions, like, who's not had a carrot dangled in front of them before, and in a very early relationship, because people just, they don't really have a care for the emotions. So I think she's just going along to get along, and just wants to look like she's in the process, wants to look like she's really trying to make things work, but knowing that this is all just going to be a distraction and leave her room so she can still, fuddle around with David. So that's what it looked like to me. She was also friendly with a lot of the other women. She was friendly with Michelle, so she had enough information to kind of keep everybody, to keep the people at bay, and to just skate through. And to be honest, that's why I just consider them both very low vibrational people, because to really do all of this on a stage like this, let alone do it at all, but to do it on a stage like this and think you're going to get away with it. I love it that they got caught, because they were all, they had this whole crafted out plan. I'm going to dangle this carrot in front of Alan. We're all going to be nice. We're all going to give this surface image, because I think that's why we're now starting to see who they are. That's why we see who Michelle is now. When she showed up with all that red stuff on her face, and just being cocky and arrogant, and all the audacity in the world. That's why they wore that red color, those matching outfits. This is who they are. They're people that do whatever they want when they don't get what they want. And they don't care about anybody else but their own self-interest. So that's what you're going to do. If I'm in a situation, I'm backed against the wall, I don't care about the other person. I don't care about anybody else. I'm going to do what feels good to me in that moment. And then I'm going to justify why I did it. Because similar to what Trey was saying, Camille gave feedback to Tom. Some of it was hyper annoying, but she was actively working on their relationship. You could see steps that it was going someplace. Fortunately, Alan has the money to waste, to get all those clothes, and many of those outfits were very nice and things that he could use. But at the end of the day, I personally would never do that, because there were no markers that our relationship was progressing. There was nothing that looked like this is going anywhere. So if this is just like, we could go visit a stylist and you can make some recommendations, and then, hey, maybe these things, as our relationship progresses, these might be some things that I consider to buy. But I'm not dropping all that money. I don't care how much money I have. If this is, I need to know where we're going. I'm like Camille. I need to know where we're going before I make major investments. So there's no way. You barely want to give me a hug. You barely want to give me a kiss. Like, there's no romantic intimacy at all. And you want me to fork out money to change my looks for you? Lots of money? Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. What's the reason for doing that? So that's my thoughts on it.
No,
I think that's the downfall of Ellen. I was going to say, I think that was, yeah.
We'll get to that, because that is a downfall of Alan, is what Sean just explained. But no, I definitely hear what you guys are saying as well. So I think there's some good points all around. I think it's making me think about some of the things, obviously, in this situation. And I listen, maybe again, like I said, because I've lived that life. I really do feel for Madison and David. But I agree with what you're saying, Sean, Easton, and Trey, in a sense of, like, I look at these. Listen, I don't think Madison wanted to be caught. She did not want to be caught. It's a stupid moment by David. Honestly, it is literally a Scooby-Doo moment. Like, I would have got away if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Like, if David hadn't sent that text, right? And then also, not even just sent the text, if he had lied better, I'm just gonna be real. It is what it is. I'm gonna be real what it is. If he had lied better, we wouldn't be here. Right? Michelle would have no bone to gnaw her teeth on. We'd have got to the end of decision day. They'd have been sitting on opposite ends of the couch. They'd have told each other, we don't want to be married. They'd have gone about their business. Would have found out on where they now, that David and Madison are probably together, or they might have hid it away a little bit longer, right? And after the show is done, they're together. And this would have gone away and nobody would have said anything different. The problem is that they got caught, you know what I'm saying, to you, on a stupid technicality madness, right? I don't think that Madison was trying to be nasty, but the fact that she wasn't being true meant that she ended up becoming manipulative. And this is the problem where I say that, this is why I say that you call out everybody, because people think that because they're trying to be nice, that they're not being manipulative. But her nicety was the manipulation, because she couldn't tell the truth. She didn't want Alan. And so we can see that in the way that she dodged the kiss when he won the game. We can see that in the way that the intimacy isn't necessarily there. We can see that in the way that she would sneak out. Of course, I was going to see David. And then obviously, you know, with the clothing situation, the reason why $3,000 was spent, because if she really liked him, she would have bought it herself. Because she would have been invested in him. Therefore, it's not him spending, it's our spending. See, women want to spend money on those people they actually like. The ones that they don't like, they're making you spend the money. You know what I'm saying to you, right? If you've ever been with a woman that really likes you, you know she wants to spend money on you. You know what I'm saying to you? So the fact that it ended up with him paying $3,000 after kissing, yeah, that was a madness. But what I would say is that I don't think Madison and David thought they were going to get caught. And so, honestly, that's why I said that the apologies were trash. But I also understand when you're not ready to get caught, you're not going to come out with a, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Anybody who's cheated before knows that your first apology is not a real one. You're not sorry that you hurt them. You're sorry you got caught. That's the first one. That apology where you're actually sorry comes out maybe a few months later on when you've actually had time to think about it. You know what I'm saying? Some time has passed. You know, you're now feeling, right, that was kind of mad. I probably shouldn't have done that. But in the heat of the moment, nobody's apology is like really heartfelt and what they really mean, like wishing you good. It's really, I'm sorry that I got caught. You know what I'm saying to you? And again, I would agree. Like, of course, this David and Madison have characteristics, or I should not even say characteristics, they have behavior traits that are very passive aggressive, which leans into the manipulation, which is why it was comfortable for Madison to lie. But in her head, she's not lying. In her head, she's buying her time. Like, I don't wanna rock the boat. I don't wanna be mean. I don't wanna be nasty. I don't want this man. I can't get out. I can't quit. The show's on. The contracts are in. I can't do that. So hold on. And at the end of the show, I go with David. David already knew that his thing was done. So far as he's concerned, nothing he does is changing his situation. You know what I'm saying to you? Nothing he does is change the situation until that moment that damn ass text gets sent to Michelle. And then he can't lie very well. That's why I said, I don't know if he really is somebody who does this often. Because I'm sorry, I would have come up with a better lie. I wouldn't even have answered you. I had a whole day to think about this. See me, I sent you the text, you asked me, and I have a whole day to think about this, and I don't come up with the, yeah, of course it was meant for you. Now that's a character flaw. That's me. So I'm telling you that somebody who knows about the chronic game and how to play it, that's somebody who knows how to play the game who will tell you a lie. I'll tell you, of course it's for you.
That's all he had to say. That's all he had to say.
But he couldn't say it because he's not really a liar. That's my whole point. He's not really a good liar.
I was sure. I was thinking about you, and I was like, you be real tasty, but you might not accept it. That's okay. That's all you had to say.
Yeah, he should have actually played it off as him being drunk. I was drinking a little too much. I was.
You know what I'm saying?
Out there. He should have just.
He created more mess. You know what I'm saying to you? So look again, but they still have to be held accountable. You know what I'm saying to you? I just know they wished. I just know they thought they were going to get away with it, and we're not prepared for what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying to you? Listen, I'm only saying that because I've done it a few times. I already have my lies ready set up. That's what it was in Egypt. When I was in Egypt, I said, if your boyfriend finds out, I've got my lies set up. I don't care about you, but I got my lies set up. Because I can't think about you. I can't think about me. But again, that's somebody who has a character trait and a flaw, because I did that several times. So that's what I'm saying. I give them grace because I feel like this is an unfortunate situation where you got contracts, you got cameras, you got all this kind of stuff. If we're saying the men couldn't leave because of contracts and stuff, then Madison couldn't leave because of contracts and stuff. You know what I'm saying to you? Which means, but that then brings out your natural tendencies and survival instincts. And Madison and David's survival instincts is to be passive aggressive and find a way to be sneaky about it, getting what they want, rather than doing, I'm going to stand at the door and knock on the door and enter through the front gate. That's what it exposes. So, you know what I mean? I got a question for you boys. It's about Michelle. Is Michelle an equivalent of men who go into marriages and then when it's not working for them, they don't quit the marriage? right? They don't quit the marriage. They don't want to be the bad person. They hold on and they stay. They just become numb. They don't do anything until the woman goes to sign. Finally says, "I want a divorce," and he's like, "Thank God." Somebody had to say it because I wasn't going to do it. Is that equivalent of Michelle doing, or how would you describe Michelle's situation as well?
Let me take a stab at it first, real quick. I don't, because I don't put Michelle in the same category, because I think with society there is a natural standard or duty that comes with man in marriage. Although there are plenty of stories and moments where men do cheat and have families on the separate side of town, there's still like an overarching kind of like duty to suffer in silence. You know, you can go through all the statistics and everything like that, whether it be sexless marriages and different things like that. Like, I think that it's already well documented where guys kind of they'll be suffering silence, and I think the number one or two reason why is because that's just what you're supposed to do as a man. Like, I mean, I sometimes think about it like whether you are serviced as a man from what you really want for your birthday. Like, I remember getting my dad tool sets and underwear and ties for birthdays and gifts in different holidays. But I think you just accept it, and I'm sure he just thought of it as, that's just my job as being a man, to being the head of the household. Whereas I think it's different when you think of it as a woman, and maybe I guess the happiness or individual happiness superseding the home happiness. And so I don't put them in the same category, just because there wasn't, for either of them, David had no duty to Michelle outside of the vows, and Michelle didn't have any duty to David outside of the vows. So I don't really put them two and two together, and I don't think this is an equivalent from like men doing that at all. I just think that she wanted a good edit. She didn't want to be a villain. She didn't want to be the bad guy. And that was her thing. She wanted to be the winner in this thing. And that's just kind of how it went.
That last part Easton just said was the absolute truth. Michelle was ready to go, get up out of there. I'm done. But I think hold on, you are contractually obligated to stay in this thing. And then she's in the meeting where her and Pastor meeting. She said she did not. She felt like people was coming at her. She was treated. She didn't understand why, because she felt like, that first meeting, she told Pastor Cal, I feel like people are coming at me for what is happening in the beginning. And it was how she would treat David, how she was acting. So that was right in the beginning. Oh, you care about your editing. You feel like you've been looking bad, and you had to change that around. That's when this whole idea with Pastor Cal brought up. Oh, well, that first meeting, David did say, "Oh, am I? Can you hear me good? Am I pausing?"
You were slightly earlier.
Oh, okay.
You could continue. I think you're back again, but just, we'll tell you again if it goes again.
So I said I was on dial up. That's funny. But it was just in that first meeting with Pastor Kyle, she did mention how she felt like people were not on her side in the situation with her and David. So this is when Pastor Kyle came up with the idea and said,
bro, you're doing the Dalek thing, cuz.
Put a pause.
You are doing the Dalek thing, fam. Pop out and pop in. Maybe your thing will reconnect, bro, because the thing is doing the Dalek thing, fam.
I feel like I was cooking too. Right.
You was cooking. That's the problem. He was cooking, and the food was spilling out the pot. Sean, so that Trey can come back. Do you think that Michelle pulled when men stay in those marriages and they don't want it no more, but they don't want to divorce, and then a woman ends up divorcing, and they're like, thank God you did it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they don't want to be the bad guy. Is that what Michelle pulled here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the most probably plausible of things. I think ultimately she knew she knew she didn't want David. Um, but she was going to, especially knowing that it was 8 weeks. You know what I'm saying? You have a very short period of time. It's not like she has to commit to this for 10 years. She's like, listen, I'm gonna ride this 8 weeks out, you know, and we gonna see what it's gonna be. But we know, I'm gonna do all the little things that they try to suggest to me. I don't even know if listen, she seemed to be like a kid having a temper tantrum being dragged through the process. So I don't even know how much willing she was to just just like go through it with even an attitude of trying. She was really stressed out most of the time trying to even do the barest of bare minimums. But yeah, I definitely think she was like, look, we know what it is. I know, I will never want to be with him no matter whatever manifests itself. So I would concur with that. I think the other part is that um from what she saw from him, he really liked her. So for her, it's almost like an ego stroke to be in that scenario, because it's like, hey, this person is kind of willing to tolerate, my temper tantrums, my antics, all the pushback I give them, all the lack of treatment. They seem to keep coming back wanting more. So I think for her, she's like, well, this is fine. He's staying in the other bedroom. I'm not losing anything. He's not like bothering me, like all over me. He's barely here, so it works for me. It's really not much. So she was like, we'll just get through this 8 weeks.
Definitely hear that. Okay, let me say this. Empress Horton said Madison wanted melanin like her sister, but lied. Down. I definitely hear that as well. Okay, cool, fantastic, guys. I appreciate that. Let's move it on. We'll come back probably to Alan a little bit towards the end. Obviously, Juan and Karla also had their situation too. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a
deeply, to figure out if this makes sense or not. And that's something I've never done, and I really like that.
And for me,
I want to know your thoughts on Juan and Karla's situation, because obviously they actually said no. Now, we all knew they were going to say no. I don't think it is anything crazy that they said no, okay? But I want to know what you gleaned from them on this particular episode, because obviously they had a conversation with the experts. Karla did say one or two things that were a bother to her. So I want to know what your thoughts were in this situation. Like, how did you view this Karla and Juan situation? Because it looks like she actually felt like she wanted him to try, but Juan didn't necessarily try, it sounds like, from her perspective. What's your thoughts?
Kick it off.
Go for it.
Juan is a master liar, and I can appreciate that. Bravo, good sir. You did a master class on how you should coast in this experiment, how you should end in a graceful way, because even when Karla was saying some things that were a little out of pocket in my guesstimation, he still kept it cute and kept it trying to be nice and try to say nothing but good things about her. But he wasn't attracted initially from the get-go. We get on this on these panels, we watch YouTubes, we watch the show, and we get mad because we want somebody to like our favorite people, but in reality, that's not always going to happen. One, and then two, it's also about how you treat the person when you don't like them, i.e. Akechi and Amem. Juan was never mean. Juan never did anything bad to me. I think that he put a masterclass on, if you're not attracted to them, how do you keep it cute? And initially his issue to me was the bus ride. I think where Juan falls short is that he's too logical, whereas I see why they brought them together, because he's too logical and goes about everything by the book, and Karla she does everything whatever the wind takes her, she'll do it, even with the financial decisions and everything like that. So they were actually very they were opposite. They married each other and they would have been a perfect fit. But and I would really wish that Juan would have gotten a little bit deeper and maybe dug into some stuff, because he after rewatching a lot of the episodes, or at least some of the clips, he didn't like to get deep into much of anything. But as soon as he saw that Karla doesn't make good decisions, and we have to get out of the mind frame of just because somebody is emotionally intelligent, because she is extremely emotionally intelligent. I'll put her at the top of the list this season. Her, I guess, logic, or her, it's just her logic, or just I won't say regular intelligence, but her logic was very low, because quitting your job without necessarily having a plan, not having the room to stay in, all that kind of stuff, as a man, that would make me fearful of having somebody be the wife and future mother to our family and our kids. And so for Juan, I can see how it doesn't make sense, because of all the stuff, the track record, as well as, you know, maybe some of the spiritual stuff. I think a lot of also some of the stuff that he was saying was very like low hanging fruit in terms of excuses. Like that was what he was trying to do. And then Karla always had a one up for him, like with the spirituality and stuff like that. But he was just trying to keep it cute. The first thing he clocked was the intimacy talk on the bus, and that irked him. And then the spiritual stuff, and then also her making the physical decisions. I think that all that combined made her a no-go in his book.
I think JUAN and Karla are a prime example of we just get along to get along, and also just falling to the wayside when you bring the experts into this, because they never even talked to him about anything, really. The issue, it's hard, it's not hard to pinpoint where this actually went wrong. Kokojo, you actually hinted to this in the beginning. It started on that trip. Probably two instances, and Easton has been saying this. It started on that bus ride, when Karla kind of went maybe a tad bit too sexual for him, and for his comfortability. I think Juan likes to keep, his bedroom activities in his bedroom, not for everybody to be discussed and to be a part of. So, Karla maybe came off a little too free for him in that instance. And then it didn't help the situation back when Juan had went off with David that morning and had a great time or something, and he kind of forgot about Karla. And she felt the type of way about that and gave him attitude for the entire day during that whole photo shoot. So that played a part as well. But I think as the weeks kept going, I think they both came to agreement like, hey, we could be kind, we could be cool with one another. But as far as Juan not being attracted to Karla, to me, I don't think it has nothing to do with looks, because Karla's a very pretty woman. I think the more he found out about Karla, the less he became attracted to her. It's just plain and simple. And guess what? Newsflash, people, that is okay. We have to give space for that. It's okay. You can find out more about a person's personality and realize they're not a fit for you, and you're not a fit for them. Like, Karla, she's gonna have to be with a certain type of man that's gonna really be okay with her brand of spirituality. Because even for myself, I'm pretty open and everything, but if you all of a sudden bring up some crystals and stuff and burning sage every day, I'm like, all right, it's a little bit much now. And I'm used to the sage burning, but every day, you might need to relax a little bit. But then you can tell they also never really had any conversations about this back and forth with each other. They decided to bring all of this up right at the end with some of the issues that they may have had with one another, to the point where the experts looking confused. I didn't know this was going on. Well, where were y'all? Why didn't y'all intervene more and find some of this out? Kojo said it earlier. Juan was never challenged about anything he was feeling towards Karla. He was never challenged on it. Never really asked. I'm sorry, Karla. You didn't ask yourself either. You say you was actually attracted to Juan, but honestly, outside of the first day of y'all got married when you called him handsome, we've never heard you anything say from that after that one day. We have never heard her say anything about her attraction to Juan, that he is handsome, she is attracted to him, not until this episode. So I was like, okay, this is weird that you're talking like this now. You know, it's felt like everybody's trying to save face. We at the end, you know, everybody got to save their face, and we made it here. Congratulations. This is what I needed and didn't want. This is what I didn't get, but I wanted. There's just not a match. And we've been saying this for weeks on end. They're just not a match. Stop trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. And we've been seeing this talk, especially when it comes to Karla. I don't think there's personally nothing wrong with Karla. I just been saying for weeks, she is not a match for him, and he is not a match for her. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Sean.
I think that they must have had either a out loud pack or a silent pack that they're just going to get through this process swimmingly, and then know what each other was going to say at the end of the day. uh I will start with saying I think there were probably some critical missteps that Karla made in areas that she just needs to grow, just from a stability standpoint. I don't necessarily, I've been saying this from the beginning, like, to me, some of those things wouldn't necessarily stress me out. I think they're a conversation, and I would, just need to, either feel comfortable with the plan or we come up with one together in terms of like next steps after she left her job. Like, what is her plan around taking care of herself, and does she, have an adequate budget? She didn't come off to me as someone that was unable to take care of herself. So I would just need to dig in a little bit more to see what's the plan on a go forward basis. But yeah, no, very early on in a marriage process, I could see how that would be something that could be concerning. I definitely could see how it's concerning. Like, hey, how are we gonna sustain ourselves? Like, is this something that you just typically do? Are you very aloof in this way? I think as the process moved on, we kind of got to see a little bit more of her. For Juan, I think he is a very, very guarded person. He said it. She's let herself, she's expressed that. To Trey's point, no, she's consistently said, "Listen, I want affection. I am attracted to you." She sat in front of the experts when they came over to the shared apartment, and she was like, "I would like more physical touch." She's been consistent with saying that. So somebody that's attracted to you is telling you that they want physical touch, but she's not going to be jumping all over him. And I think that's where I think she was smart in navigating it, as like, hey, I'm telling you what I want. I'm telling you, but I'm not going to dote on you and give you a whole bunch of praises and I'm getting nothing in return. And I think she made that very, very clear. Um, I think Juan, for whatever reason, I'm not gonna pretend to know or get into why, but it was just like he just had a block for whatever it is. I'm not gonna project what I think it is. It just looked like for whatever he just had a block when it came to her, and it wasn't gonna ever move past that. Whether she wasn't his type or whatever the thing she did, I just think he was never really fully into it with her. Juan to me also comes off somebody similar to David. I think Juan has more character than David, but he was very immature in the process. It's not even like he wanted to talk through things. He said most of his feedback in his like whatever those confessionals were. We heard about some of the feedback. He only said a couple of things to Karla even during decision day about why he didn't like her, why he didn't like her. He didn't want to go deep for whatever reason. I don't know, Kojo, maybe it's avoidant. He just does not dig deep. He's not at the level where he digs deep or he's going to really confront an issue. He avoids it. And that's where all that toxic positivity comes in. Because of everything I've been through, I rather just mask it with the good stuff. I don't want to talk about my real feelings. I don't want to talk about how I feel. I don't want to get to maybe how I can work it out. I made a decision, I'm going with it, and I'm just going to avoid it. I'm going to avoid the real conversation. I'm going to avoid getting to what it really is for me. I don't want to deal with that. That's over there. It's too hard. She's not going to get it. They're not going to understand. And I'm just going to keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that. I mean, listen, look, I think there was some difficulties in that situation between Karla and Juan, and I wish there was more pressure by the experts so we could actually find out what the key issues were and why they are in the position they are, right? Because now we're left speculating, things with Juan and things with Karla. Is there things of Karla that turned off Juan? I don't know. In that space. We all speculate that there were some things that she did, but I don't know 100% because we never really discussed it the way that we needed to in order to break it all the way down and to get a concrete answer that would actually give us really some more better answers in terms of the way that they could actually improve. It seems like Juan made his mind up very early. The change of behavior happened for me at the honeymoon. I'm still not, I think after that argument where they had and where she showed out, after that, we never saw him again. I don't know if you noticed, it was after that argument that they had where she showed out and then he spent time with David. And after that, it was over. We never saw them again, like in terms of energy wise. So, I don't know. I mean, of course, I'm sure there's more to it, but again, it would have been good for them to have the expert pushed them a bit more so we can get a better understanding from what was really kind of going on. But let me read the super chats really quickly. Juan will not be penalized for not liking Karla, Phil said. I hear that. And then he said, did we hear Juan say Karla didn't have a job? I don't know if he said that in this episode, but I know what he has said. Yeah.
He did say that the financial aspect was something. I like.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
confessional.
Yeah, that's what I just said. In the confessional, he said it. Not directly.
He did.
He called her dumb. If you don't remember that, when she told him, he said, you can't be stupid. He was like, you can't. He was like, I'm all for whatever, but you can't be stupid.
He said, you could be crazy, but you can't be dumb.
In the confessional today?
He said, well, they replayed the confessional. They replayed the confessional he had when Karla told him that she quit her job.
Oh, yeah.
He said, you could be crazy, but you can't be dumb. Because he thought that was a dumb idea.
That's why I said he's a masterclass of lying. He just kept it cool the whole time because he had his reasons. He just, if you tell somebody that, it ain't gonna come across good. So he just wanted to keep his image.
You know what? Listen, I hear it. I just wish it would again, but I wish the experts would have pressed further. Because even though he may have kept it to himself and everything at all, right? We still don't get the answers because we haven't now to speculate. But I mean, listen, if that was the case, listen. I would be honest. I'm sure the ladies would have called him broke. I personally would have understood his perspective. You know what I'm saying, Chu? I think the men would have probably got behind it, but of course it's a predominantly women audience. But I think the men would have understood, right? I wouldn't want somebody who's volatile in the very beginning that would quit their job. But I need to know that. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, I'm sure that those things are real, and they probably did trigger him in terms of the way his background is with his parents and what he had seen and what he's gone through. Remember we said at the very beginning of the season, the financial triggers that he has, that he doesn't like, that financial thing is a big thing for him. So I can understand it that if she quit a job, it was very scary for him to be in that position. I'd have backed him 100%, but I understand that. I get why he might not have said it, but again, we're now left speculating. That is a very good answer, but we're now left speculating because the experts didn't push, and also we didn't get him also to say anything. You know what I mean? So I'm not shouting him down or anything like that. I don't think he's necessarily a bad person or anything. I just wish we had more. You know what I'm saying to you?
Well, if you remember that episode, it was kind of funny. You remember that episode? everything was coming, I think, a little too fast for Juan, because right before that was when they had to go to each other's apartments, and she went to that storage unit. So he was like, "All right, wait a minute, hold up, okay, you're burning crystals, you got sage everywhere. All right, okay, we had a little tit for tat. You might be a little too sexual open, okay, but now you're living out of a storage unit." And then the very next, within a couple of days, they was at his little warehouse thing, and she told him, "Yeah, so I quit my job today." And remember back then, we just thought, quit your job? It sounded like you got fired, but whatever. You say you quit your job, and you remember what he did. He was listening to her, and he took 2 steps back, like, "You did what now?" And he asked her, "So what are you going to do? What is your plan?" And she didn't have one. That's what really concerned him. And that's why he made that comment. You could be crazy, but you can't be dumb. If you're going to do something like quit your job, whatever, even if you say, well, you know what, I'm cool for now. I got some things saved up, and I can, until I can find something more stable, this and that and third. I think that would have been better. She just said, "I don't know, it's okay. I'm just going to be free." And he was like, "Excuse me?" Because in his head, he lives in the real world. Like, and there's real consequences. Karla, as much as I do like this about her personality, because it is freeing, but in the real world, baby girl, I was about to say she got bills. She ain't got a house, so she really ain't got no bills. So, hey, I guess it works out.
And let's be fair, since this is a man's panel, if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, I don't have a lot of emotional equity built in, because a lot of the patience comes with me having emotional equity built with you. Like, I'm willing to go through hell and high water, or go through a little bit more when we've built in some, like, getting to know you, or being vulnerable with each other. Out the gate, you are a liability. And again, we can judge Karla from a friendship standpoint, or even as she is a high emotional intelligence. But if I'm a guy and I'm calculating, and us guys, how we do, we become CPAs and investment analysts and advisors when it comes to our dating. And sometimes, especially when it's somebody we're wanting to marry, or if they're a wife or a girlfriend or a partner, you calculating everything. You like, can I live with this? Can we work with this? Oh, is this a good trait? This is a bad trait. I can make this work. Karla was a walking red flag from a relationship standpoint from the get-go. And I don't see it. I don't think maybe somebody would love that, but Karla is also not an ugly person. She's a beautiful person. So I like, again, something is slipping in the cracks here, because I'm hard pressed. And also, last thing, she said this is our first healthy relationship. That's another, again, you ain't never want to be the first positive, healthy relationship of anybody in anybody's life. That's just my rule of thumb.
Now, that comment made me raise my eyebrows when she said that. I said, what now? Really? This, what Juan was giving you, which wasn't much. He was just really being a friend. That's it. Was your first healthy relationship? Yeah, that's a little scary. I'm just sorry. That's a little scary.
That's true. I didn't think about that. But go on, Sean.
Yeah, I think that when someone wants to avoid, there's nothing you can do. So I don't necessarily fault the experts for this one, because I think when you go into a marriage, there's certain things, like, you have to want to work on it, especially something like this. You sign up for Married at First Sight, you are willing in a very short cocoon time get together with somebody and work through things. So you have to go into it with the mindset of, okay, hey, listen, I might have to talk about some uncomfortable things. I might have to be a little bit more vulnerable than I'm used to being. I might have to be a little bit more forward in my communication. Like, because that's the only way. If you truly want to go into a married at first sight, that's the only way you're gonna have to. You're gonna. It's gonna work. The only couples that make that yes to decision day talk about things. They say what they like. We may not always like it. Camille and Thomas. Sometimes it was uncomfortable, annoying, agitating, but they spoke. They talked about things. So I think you have to talk about it, and you have to be willing to be vulnerable. Otherwise, you're just going to get nothing. I think Juan was content with walking away with a best friend. And that's what he said to Carla. You're my best friend. They sat in that hot tub on the last episode and they were miles apart. That told us everything we needed to know. These two are platonic friends. For whatever reason, I know we got into others. I'm not even going to do that. I don't even think it's necessary. He doesn't want her, and he's not willing to explore it. I don't care what questions the experts would have asked him. He would have dodged it, or he would have done little surface things. The last time they sat in front of Dr. Pia, she was perplexed, and they wound up with that lady walking over, that elderly lady walking over in their house with her slip on. And Juan just laughed his way through that whole exercise and did nothing afterwards. You get what I'm saying? So there's nothing. He's gonna go along. He's a go along to get along kind of guy. I honestly don't think. I don't think he's harmful, and that's why the situation was it wasn't a necessarily bad one. They actually built a friendship. So Carla was like, "Hey, listen, this was healthy. She wasn't getting stressed out per se, because she wasn't. He wasn't really doing much in terms of trying to make her do anything or saying, I want you to do this, I want you to fix that, because his mind was already made up. And he was like, let's just have a good time, let's have fun. That is Juan is the fun guy. That's why he was able to throw on the poncho, put on that porn stash. He's just like a fun guy. So we could just be surface, have a good time. I'm going to be nice to you, you be nice to me, and we just move on. That's what I think. I don't think the experts could have done anything with these two. He wasn't, because he wasn't willing to do the work. Just like you go into therapy. Yeah, you can sit in front of a therapist 5 days a week, but if you're not willing to explore, if you're not willing to tell that person, hey, listen, this is my problem, these are things that I think are issues that I've had in my last relationship, this is something that happened in my childhood that I think might be a problem for me. If I just go in there and say everything is okay, the doctor's gonna say, "All right, I'll see you next year. Come in for another checkup." It's gonna be a surface level thing.
I mean, I definitely hear that. I still think the experts could have done something, because you can't smoke David as if you want him to be submitted to you, and not be smoking other people. You know what I'm saying, Chew? Like, what makes you think if somebody cheated that they want to listen to you smoking them? You know what I mean? Like, so if you know that person, if you know that one is being nice and not being truthful, you got to hold his feet to the fire. They didn't hold his feet to the fire. They waited to the end of the season to hold his feet to the fire, and even then they're not holding his feet to the fire. To say like, wait, Juan, you've been doing nice things. You've not actually been progressing this relationship. They saw this relationship wasn't progressing and did nothing about it. That's what I'm saying. You may not be able to force someone to do something, but the matter of the factor is that they watched that relationship coast along, right? So, like I said, what makes one think that somebody who cheated, you can hold them accountable, but you can't hold someone accountable for watching them the whole season and they're not changing, they're not moving, they're not shifting. Nothing has been said as to why it's stalled so much. We're doing the tasks, but yet we're still getting those little things from Karla. Unless, then we have to hold Karla also responsible, because she also was lying too then. Because you're not telling the experts the actual truth about what's happening in the relationship. But if we are saying that Karla was saying that, then the experts can do something. They can hold him accountable and say, Juan, stop being so nice. What's actually really going on? Let's press a little bit deeper. Why aren't you getting this? Why is the relationship stalling at this point? Right? What has she done that we saw before the honeymoon that we're not seeing now? And that's why I'm saying that they could have done something different. If they felt like they can hold someone else accountable for cheating, you can hold someone accountable for not trying to make some movements in this relationship. Otherwise, don't hold anybody accountable, because you're wasting your time. They're not under your control and they're not underneath your thumb. That's what I'm saying. I'm not in a shot back to you, Sean, or anything like that. Just as my thought process. That's why I was saying that. Not as a shot to you or anything like that, Sean. Any other thoughts on Juan and Karla?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that this is. I mean, how many seasons of Married at First Sight have we seen?
18 now, innit?
Exactly, right? So there's always couples that just don't make it. You know what I mean?
get
There's
you.
always couples
Yeah.
that don't make it. They're not gonna necessarily, because they know some people it just doesn't work out. You try and it doesn't work out, they're not gonna force you. Now, if you try to go and, you're just doing something crazy next level, like, they were like the couple that was just like moving along swimmingly, right? It just wasn't a fit. I think this is, other than Juan being a very avoidant person, and that you're going to need intensive therapy to really unpack that and really see what he wants. Because why would you throw yourself into a married at first sight process and you are not even willing to be vulnerable, right? We've seen so many guys be vulnerable, and that's how you see their flaws. And then you can either talk through it, or it's gonna fit, or it's gonna not. But he wasn't willing to do that. I'm really not sure why he even stepped on the show. You get what I'm saying? I just don't understand it. But he didn't really bother me. It's not like he was doing something egregious to her. So I think, like, you see an expert intervention when somebody is doing something that is very problematic, something that is harmful to other people. He wasn't harming Karla, And listen, I've loved Karla. I love her energy. I like, her ability to put words to issues, and to, I think there's value in things like that. But I'm not him, so he needs to see value. So I'm not going to project like, oh, he should want her, he should be attracted to her, he should have tried. No, because listen, I'm far be it for me to tell somebody what they should or shouldn't do. I think it would have been nice if he would have just tried. But for whatever reason, and I'm not buying what he said, that whole, oh, I've been quick to have sex in the past and now I'm just not gonna go there. That's bullocks. I don't know why. Again, I don't know why, but I think that was crap. Because at the end of the day, you're in a marriage process where you're supposed to be trying different things to see if this can work in a very short period of time. So why not give it a try? And it's not like he had to jump into bed with her and, go all the way, but like try something. But he didn't want to. And I think that's probably the best of options, that he didn't try to fumble through it, because God forbid he did and it still went anywhere, he probably would have really hurt her better. So I kind of have some respect for him. I see some of his flaws generally as a person, but who doesn't have those? And I think, like, again, like maths, they know there's gonna be people it just doesn't work for whatever reason. I think this is usually we see the women do things like this, what he's doing, but here we see a man who's, kind of put up a wall, and from very early on said he wasn't, it just wasn't going to go anywhere. And, I can only respect him for that.
And I think that's why I was saying that I wish that they would have pushed harder. Because I think what Felicia Cooper just said is a great point. Like, if they already knew that one had commitment issues, they should have been working with him. They normally push people. Like, they pushed Michelle hard.
They tried.
For what?
They tried.
You know what I'm saying to you? Why are you pushing Michelle so hard? Why are you even sending her own tape to let her know? You get what I'm saying to you? But we ain't doing that for Juan, and we're not doing that for Juan, we're not doing that for Karla. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, that's where I'm saying, like, that I'm looking at experts going, where is the equality here? Why did you force Michelle to work harder to move past her fears of actually being able to open up? Yet we have Juan, who also reacted in it. Remember how he reacted? Also, like I said, I think there's more to it, because Juan did react badly to the letter situation, if you remember correctly, when they were reading out the letters and he started crying or whatever.
Karla was cold.
Karla was cold. He felt like she didn't really give him the support that he really wanted. So, like, again, this is things that the experts could have picked up, you know what I'm saying, Chu, and actually pushed for. And I'm not just putting it on Karla. I'm not putting it on Juan alone. Karla's in this too. And as much as I feel like Karla might have said it once or twice, she didn't fight hard enough myself. I think she didn't fight hard enough, because ain't no way the experts are going to come in there every week and be like, so Karla, everything's okay? Well, it's okay. It's all right. Well, then she's also play acting too, because she ain't even telling the full truth. There is issues in this relationship that need to be worked out. Pastor Cal, this man don't touch me. He don't whine like me. He don't want to be near me. He be running away. He got commitment issues. She should have blew the out the roof without being so crazy about it, but at least make some more complaints about it. That's why I put her in the same boat as Juan and Karla. They're both doing the exact same thing. We can talk about Karla and Juan's ill commitment, and I can talk about her also not being very honest, because at the end of it, we're saying we're having a happy friendship. I'm looking at both of them like, y'all been lying to these experts, because you both saying that you're in a happy friendship. Karla, you weren't happy, but you kept quiet the whole entire time. And Juan, you're not happy, but you kept quiet the whole entire time. Well then, you know what I mean? Like, at this point in time, I got to look at both of them and go like, well, this is a missed opportunity by the experts. You know what I'm saying, too? So, you know, yeah,
They
Ethan,
both
you were going to
didn't
say
try.
something. Wait, before you go, Trey, Ethan was going to go first.
Yeah.
Go for Ethan.
Thing is also a thing of we just got to be, some people just don't qualify for each other, and maybe you might have like a running list of things that check your box. And to me, I felt like Juan by day 2 or 3 was like, this ain't it. And that caused them both to not try because Juan wasn't trying. As soon as Juan cut off, he didn't try because he wasn't even intentful about where she went off to and her running off and him hanging out with David. So in my mind, it initially started with him reclusing because of the lack of whether it be attraction or her doing something in particular that he didn't like, which I'm always going to go back to the bus. I'm always going to go back to the bus because that was when I first saw a distinct change in Juan's behavior. Then he started to recluse and trying to pull away. She started to pull away, and it was just a terrible, it just ended up being a terrible relationship. I mean, I don't see too much issues outside of, like you were saying, Kojo. I wish the experts would have drilled in a little bit more onto why they were both acting the way they were. Why, Juan, are you so immature when it comes to some situations, like certain topics? And Karla, why are you like, I won't say she didn't care, but she was very passive with her care. Like, you could tell that she cared at the end because of how she said she wanted somebody who was fight for her, or who wasn't going to just cast her off because she wasn't athletic enough or because of the spirituality thing. Like, she had justifiable reasons, but you had all these reasons throughout the entire process. You should have let it known. I don't have no problem with them. Mavs is a social experiment that has a smaller marriage rate than the current marriage rate in the United States, and shorter life cycle than marriages in the United States. So it's more likely that you're gonna not have a relationship on Mavs than you are doing it the sucky way in the dating field currently. So I mean, they did what they could, but it just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, Easton pretty much just said it there. Everything I kind of wanted to say. Karla really didn't. She really wasn't trying. They both were. Each week when the experts did show up, I think Felicia just said in the comments, yes, each week when the experts showed up, they always said the same thing. Everything's going fine except for a lack of intimacy between us, and they didn't really know how to get over that hump. At least for one side, he said, I didn't really know how to get over that hump. But it's weird that I'm listening to Juan, and I'm looking at Karla. I'm like, okay, listen, you're in this marriage too, Karla. Are you doing anything to jumpstart this intimacy? You say you want to be touched, this and that and third. Well, there was one thing. She want to be touched, this and that and third. And she asked Juan about cuddling or whatever. And Juan did make that weird comment. So, yeah, I don't like to cuddle much. And I'm like, it sounds like you just don't like to cuddle with her. That's how it was. I was like, okay. But as we've been saying, that should have been explored. That should have been explored more. Like, why don't you want to cuddle with this woman? What has repulsed you about her? Something happened. Which I still said is okay. He doesn't have to like her. I don't know this idea, because Karla, he has to like her. For what? No, he don't. She don't have to like him. But it should have been talked about and explored at least. At least going through it, hey, what's really going on with you guys? Is this something that we can, help out and maybe even get past? But nothing was done. They just told the line, we just here to get along. You know what I'm saying? We buddies. We're real buddies. And that's how they ended. Buddies. This is what it is.
All right, cool. Let's shift it because we've talked about JUAN and Karla, and I appreciate it. Obviously, Thomas and Camille. Obviously, they had a situation. Let me get a clip for you guys. Listen. Yeah, listen, I love Thomas and Camille. I hope they actually do make it. I can't lie to you. I want to see them win. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see them win. I thought I had a clip, but I guess I don't have one. But Thomas and Camille, their situation, yeah. They had a conversation on the couch with the expert. Sorry, they had a conversation in a restaurant, and Camille let us know on more than one occasion that she wanted Thomas to be more, I guess, assertive. She wanted Thomas to lead more. She wanted Thomas to take on more decision making. And one of the things that was the house situation once more again, where he actually said he let her know that the reason why he's not thinking about letting her come in is because his house is too small, and he knows that obviously he feels like he'll be probably cramped if they move into that particular house as well. And she says she wanted him to be more sure so that she can feel more confident as well. So I'm going to get you guys' perspective on Thomas and Camille. What's your thoughts? Easton looks like he ain't feeling the Thomas and Camille section. What's going on, bro?
Camille wants, first and foremost, yes, Thomas needs to speak more. I'm sure he has all these plans in his mind, but brother, with them shifty eyes, you need to also open your mouth and speak in terms of the preparations that you made. Camille wants to have 100% guarantee on everything. She wants absolute control on every front before she gives a millimeter. And that's it. To me, at the end of the day, Thomas has done a lot in terms of opening up. You have a man who was adopted, who's clearly said that, hey, I have struggled in certain areas, and he's probably been the most vulnerable with Camille. Camille ain't really returned that back. He said it himself. I don't get the return and affection from an intimacy level because he over here munching on her, but he don't get nothing in return. He only seen her cry once. She wants to be assured of everything. And I kind of compare it to, like, if you were to talk to God and be like, you know what, God, you need to guarantee me that you're going to get me to heaven, and then I'll do everything, I'll follow the Bible, I'll follow the 10 Commandments, I'll do everything you need me to do. That's how Camille wants to act. Is she wants to get all ducks in a row and then have all the control before she relinquishes anything. And to me, I hope she learns from this. I'm not saying that she won't, but if she doesn't and she continues to operate like that, and I think that she probably will, Thomas might cheat again, because that man, I think he does want to provide and wants to step up. He just doesn't. He hasn't gotten that reciprocated. But again, Thomas, as a man, you do need to voice up, like, especially the plans. But Camille wants control on all fronts.
Trey, go for it.
And on this point, I am in total agreement with Camille. Like, brother, you got to have some semblance of a plan, something. Like, she asked just very simple question: what are we doing after this process? Like, something. What are we doing? I know Thomas said he's a bad planner, this, that, bro. No, you got to come up with get you some crayon, piece of paper, say, hey, we're going to do this, something. And for him not having one, at least an idea where they're going, not going to something, I can understand Camille's hesitation toward Thomas on this one particular thing. Because this does seem like this is something that he struggles with, as he said, actually making long-term plans and goals. Now on Thomas's side, I think he finally did say it this episode. I do believe I think Easton was started to go in on this. I think some of his hesitation on Camille was the fact that in a lot of ways she has been emotionally unavailable towards him about certain things. She comes off a lot more stoic than he is when it come to talk about their emotions. Like he even mentioned it. He's like, I've only seen you cry once, and I've been crying this whole time. Not for say you got to be crying every week, but she doesn't open up, to him as he did to her through this process. So he's wondering, okay, how is this going forward? How does this look? Is she ever truly going to let me in? And then her, as I said before, her counter argument to that is, well, I would let you in if you actually lead us. Come up with a plan or be the leader I need you to be. So I felt like they was setting it up for her to say no, and she kind of played like it was going to be. You know what? I do have a counter question. If Camille would have went first during that decision, what do you think she would have said? Because
No.
in my mind, it was looking like a no, and some valid reasons for no, especially on that last, like, bro, when she asked, this is like the second or third time she asked him, what is the plan for us after this? What are we doing? And he kind of didn't have one. And I'm saying, bro, you giving her a good reason to say no. Very good one. But I noticed they purposely went to him first, probably because he had that basketball. And, he came in and went to this when they saw it. So it was like, hey, we're going to ask Thomas first. And then she kind of played the game. Well, you know what? Yeah. I said, okay. I wonder what would have happened if she would have went first. How would this would have played out? If I would be critical about this show, this is the only thing that I have never liked the American version of Mask for. Where I do prefer the UK version is when it comes to these decision days, you got to write it on a little white chalkboard, piece of paper, whatever, beforehand. And then y'all both have to hold up that sign. Do you want to stay here or do you want to leave? Ain't going to be no flip-flop because we know a lot of these couples sometimes do a flip-flop. The answer is no because the partner said yes. Oh, wait, I don't want to look bad. It's a yes. And then it kind of no down the line. I do think that's the one thing they need to change by U.S. Mavs. Like, no, I need y'all to write this both down and we're going to see what your decision is. Really. And if you're going to stand by the decision, write it on paper. We got to show it to each other. None of this who goes, because usually it's going to be determined by who goes first. It always has been on this show. And I never truly liked that.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated with Thomas. I'm not gonna hold you because Camille has been telling him this. Um, and I've expressed my frustration with some of the things that she's been railing on about in the beginning part, but I think they're moving along swimmingly. And I just think he just needed to have a plan. Like, I don't know if he just froze. I'm not sure if he gets into his head and overanalyzes. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't know why he just couldn't put words like, hey, listen, I looked into it. I can actually break my lease because this is something I wound up doing, with my ex-wife before we got engaged and ultimately married. You know, we were spending so much time with each other, it just really didn't make sense to be paying so much money. And she kind of put the idea out of it. Some transparency. I pulled the Thomas a little bit and I was just dragging my feet because I wasn't, I really wasn't ready. I had never lived with anybody before. And I just was kind of like not in that, I wasn't in the, I was kind of like dragging things along, and we did everything. We looked at apartments together. We did a whole bunch of things. And I mean, that part of it was exciting. But when it came down to like actually physically making the decision to move forward, I backed, I was, so, she said to me, she was like, listen, I'll get an apartment by myself. If that's what you want, if you're not gonna XYZ. And then I said, okay. It kind of, you got that little pang of like, do I really want this to work or no? So I looked into it. I reached out to my apartment. I had been there for years, been a great tenant, had a good relationship with the management company. They let me out of my lease. They were like, as long as you give us 60 days notice, you allow us to show your apartment, during XYZ period, we'll reach out to you. We'll let you out of your lease, no fee, no nothing. So you just have to, and I say all that to say, you have to have a plan. You have to finally do something. You got to just look into it and do it if you want to make a future with her, or say, hey, listen, this is what I would like to do, blase, blase. You know what I'm saying? That's all he had to do. But I think they can work through these things. She has vulnerability issues. There's things that she keeps holding close to the vest. I'm hoping they can work through this with each other. She can continue to work on her issues. He can continue to work on his, and they can make this work. That's my thoughts.
You know what, Sean? Oh, I was about to say something to Sean right quick. You know what, Sean? I feel you because I was almost in something similar with my ex-wife. When we got together, I was just about to join the military. She was already in. She had got pregnant. I was like, ooh, this is happening. But I thought to myself, okay, wait a minute. All right. I already seen myself, okay, I think I can have something long term with this woman. I can see myself marrying her. That was already on my mind. So I at least went to her, okay, I know I'm about to head off the basic, but this is what we're going to do. We before I leave, we're going to look at some apartments. We're going to make some choices. You're going to have to get the ball rolling while I'm away. So it's going to be set up by the time I get back. Just some semblance of a plan. I didn't have it all the way figured out at all, but I had some semblance of a plan. This is what we can do. This is what we're going to try to do. And everything kind of went well until I got back. The only thing that was different, she had moved her mom in, and that was the whole thing, but still, make some type of plan. And that's what just disappointed me about Thomas. Bro, make a plan. Now, if you're feeling some type of way, you don't want to make plans because you're not feeling a full commitment for Camille, then you should say that to Camille. Say it out loud. I want to make some plans, but I don't know if I'm getting a full commitment from you emotionally. Say that. Stand on it. But all this being wish-washy, for the first time in weeks, I was literally thinking, you know what? I don't know if Camille should say yes, bro. Like, for real. I don't, because you being very wish-washy. And then she brought up the fact that he was in a 9-year relationship out of the blue. Out of the blue, all season. You brought up something that he told you about when y'all first met. And you decided to bring it back up as some type of hit towards him. I'm like, okay, what's going on? But she said yes. So that's why I'm like, okay, you know what? I wish him the best. We'll see what happens. But Thomas does need to get that together. Like, bro, I'm gonna need you to stand up just a little bit more. Show some backbone, something.
Real quick, I think that we also got to take in Thomas. Again, he's 42, so I don't give him too much. Like, who he is who he is, but his life experience, and I'm sure that has to play a lot with it, along with the entirety of their 8 weeks. It's almost, talking to Camille has almost been like him walking on eggshells, not wanting to misstep or miscalculate or do anything wrong. And I feel like Camille, at some point, I felt like she could have spoke a lot more life into Thomas and gave him the confidence to come up with plans and be a little bit more creative with his decision making. But for the most part, it was almost like their entirety of their relationship was her putting him through the paces, and him, torn hamstring, broken back, and all, showing up, trying to make it work. and trying to put his best foot forward because he does love her. I mean, when he told her, when she agreed and said, let's stay together, the look and relief on that man's face, like I ain't ever seen his eyes perk up that much. Like I was like, there's some life in there. There's a spark. When he was, when they were walking back from, or walking to the warehouse, and that you saw them together, I said, yeah, my boy finally, he had a little swagger to himself. It just, to me, Thomas could have had a little bit more confidence instilled with him. Obviously, by himself, you would want him to just walk with that. But some guys don't always have that. And so you might have a partner that speaks some life into you, gets you the moxie that you need to really excel in life. And I really wish maybe Camille would have leaned into that essence. And maybe it's a little bit more of a feminine essence, which I think that Camille kind of struggles in that capacity a little bit, but leaning into that to speak that life into Thomas, because I think that Thomas has the capacity. He just been walking on eggshells this entire time of their relationship.
Quick question. Oh, I'm sorry, Sean. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I think that this could be an 80-20 issue, you know? And I think, like, this could just be the 20% that Camille may not, you know, necessarily, and these are things that can just develop. But overall, I think everything she named about him when she was recounting the relationship were all the things that make for a healthy relationship, right? He likes her, he cares about her, he shows he's open, he's willing, you know? He's receptive to her. He doesn't get, you know, put off by some of the things that she did. He didn't necessarily get super offended and closed off by some of the ego blows she dealt him early on. I venture to say, if Camille had this ideal in her head, man, like, I want a man that lets me be soft, and I want a man that just comes in and has all the plans, that man might not want you, one, and two, you might have a lot more arguments with that kind of guy. So I think, not that she shouldn't have someone that plans, but necessarily she should understand where you are in your process and being very headstrong. You need a man that is willing and a little more malleable, a little more soft spoken, because that's going to be the balance. Now, you guys maybe can work on that balance as you progress in your relationship, but don't expect that he's just going to be all of this and you could be all of that, because those people usually bump up against each other. And that's probably why, up until this point, she hasn't had some relationship success, because she's been going after people that have a more type A, a more domineering personality, and then they wind up clashing with each other, or they look at her and they're like, nah, I don't need that. I want somebody that's going to be calmer, more peaceful, more willing to work with me, more cooperative per se. So I think she needs to count her blessings.
You know, I think Sean just actually answered my question, because I was going to ask, do you think the reason why Camille said yes, because she realized that she may have to and needs to keep more control in a relationship? Because even though she says she wants someone to make her feel soft and be in command, be in charge, lead and everything, I do think that bumps heads with her own personality. I don't think she's going to be able to actually deal with a man like that. It's just relinquish all of that control. So maybe, to Sean's point, it could be 80-20. Sean is giving 80% of what she actually probably needs and really wants than what she says she needs and wants.
Hey Glenn, how you doing, bro? We're just talking about Thomas and Camille, and obviously they said yes, but they had some issues in terms of, Camille wanted him to be a bit more assertive, a bit more forward, a bit more with a plan, and the boys are just kind of talking a little bit about those conversations that they had. What was your thoughts on Thomas Camille and some of those conversations they had around him not maybe necessarily having that forward-thinking plan or being forward-thinking himself in a sense?
So, first of all, man, what's up, fellas? How y'all doing? I think he's dragging his feet because he was unsure of their relationship, right? When a man really sure of the relationship, he makes a plan. Think about me and Jack when we got married. I was still living in a different city. She was in a different city. I at least had to plan, okay, look, I'm not staying here. We're going to move down here. I'm gonna move here because it's a better fit for us as a family or as a couple. And so, and here's our plan for, let's try to, in this many years, when we start having kids, we're going to try to get a house. We're going to try to do this. So we had a plan going forward because I cared about her. I really wanted to be with her. We was married, or getting married. So if my thing with Thomas was, I think, agree. I think I heard somebody say, Easton, I think, was that Thomas walking on eggshells. I think he did walk on eggshells this whole relationship. He did things just enough so he doesn't mess up, right? He did things that he wasn't, so she didn't yell at him anymore, or she didn't break out the massage gun, or she didn't punish him like she did with the basketball game. She did subtle things to try to gain control in their relationship, that she had a little bit more power over him. And I think those are things that he was worried about. He wasn't sure. When you watch her speak in conversations, you can see that he's looking for approval from her. And so you see that he's trying to get that approval. He is not trying to make her mad, right? He's not trying to get her upset. He's trying to dot every I and cross every T. I'll call it the backup quarterback syndrome, right? When you get your chance to shine, you don't want to throw it. You don't want to throw an interception. You want to be out there and you want to make sure all the plays are right. And he's trying to make sure every play is right, every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And when he mess up, he's like, oh dang, is she gonna leave me this time? Some of his own insecurities, and her insecurities is, well, I'm gonna try to be dominant to this man to keep him in check, but I also want him to lead. So now I think since the cameras are gone, I think since the production is gone and they're on their own, I think he'll lead more. He'll be more open, because again, we have to realize too that this is a TV process. He doesn't want to look like a fool on TV. He doesn't want to look aggressive on TV, look bad. So I think with the camera now, she'll start to see a different side of Thomas that she didn't see on TV. With the apartment thing, he could have been like, hey, you know what? I'm going to move to this apartment, that apartment. I can break my lease. Let's move in the middle. Come up with something, right? He could have came home and brought some brochures home, and I think she would have been okay. All right, here, I've been looking at this. I've been looking at that. How about this apartment? Involve her in the conversation, so at least it sounds like you're doing something and doing nothing. I think her biggest issue that he was doing nothing. Do something and involved in the conversation and make everybody feel like they're part of the decision that has to be made. Because he can't make a decision. If he goes way across town and she got to travel 35, 40 minutes to work, then there's going to be a problem. So they have to be able, they realize they're married now, and both of these people got to make this decision together. So Thomas has to stop walking on eggshells, and Camille has to stop being a bully in situations, because I think she bullied him at times. He allows her to do it.
You know what? To Glenn's point, a perfect example of this was when the group got back together, and it was Thomas was the one who kind of jump started everything by trying to go at David and Madison and challenging them on their situation. The whole time he kept looking back at Camille like, hey, is this good? I'm doing this right? He kept looking back at her to get like a confirmation to what he was saying, because in my mind, I'm like, why is Thomas the one bringing this up? This makes no sense. Out of everybody that could have started this conversation, why is Thomas doing this? And every time he kept talking, he was looking at Camille to make sure like he was doing okay.
And to add on what you were saying, Trey, those are talking points from Camille about when did it start? Because you got to remember when they were at the retreat, Camille was the one who brought up, like, so when did this start? So when it, like, what was the explanation behind the relationship? It seems like he was just kind of parroting what she wanted him, or what it seemed like he wanted her to do. I think that with Thomas, I wish all of the guys would have to be a little bit more, not necessarily domineering, but a little bit more assertive in their, in their frame. But you know, we got friends and homies and relatives that not everybody is going to have the confidence and the machismo or whatever it is to take that step. But I have seen plenty of guys when they are with somebody who with a partner that matches them, who've been kind of worked in, and their confidence has been massaged. And I'm not saying that you just got to massage your ego or anything like that, but I know I've seen it with my own two eyes where guys have been able to be built up into the band that they need to with their partner. And so I would hope that that happens. I'm not 100% sure that Camille and Thomas will last. But I think that if Camille can kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit and speak a little bit more life into him, she might get what she really wants with Thomas.
I mean, listen, hey, look, I think you guys made some great points. I think in this situation with Thomas, I do feel like he needs to be probably a bit more assertive with the situation in terms of a plan. But I think Glenn's kind of right. A man doesn't want to be that assertive when he's not sure if the relationship's going to go anywhere. The problem is that both of them are also are waiting for the other person. So at the table, when they were talking at a restaurant, she was waiting for him, he's waiting for her, like to give them assurance. And I think that both of them are lacking that ability to be vulnerable. So it makes it uncomfortable for both of them. I think that's his personality type. He's a bit of an overthinker. He's an overanalyzer. So he needs a bit more of that comfort. He needs a bit more of that assurance. I think he needs assurance that actually this woman actually likes him and actually wants him. You know what I mean? And like, as much as I think Camille does want him, some of the changes that she's tried to make in so soon, I think is the biggest issue. The changes that she wanted to make about the swag and is he black enough, like there was consistent checking of him, which is going to eventually cause a long-term issue. Well, not even long-term, it's eventually going to cause probably a situation. And I said that earlier on to you guys, that if a woman wants to change so much things about you, does she like you? And we saw this with Madison and Alan. I think Camille's making it work, but I'm a little bit scared myself. You know what I'm saying to you? Because the things that she wanted to change with him so quickly. Do you get what I'm saying to you? For me personally, I'm a little bit like, I'm concerned in that respect. I do think they can make it work. I don't think they're the most craziest people. So I think they can make it work. But the reality of the situation is, when a woman wants to change so many things about you so quickly, it can be very difficult. It can be very difficult that one really, really wants you. And again, this is back to the men and kind of holding frame. Like, Thomas is not 18. So at this point, Thomas really needs to have a better pushback with her and let her know, stop changing me. Because what I think is going to happen is the passive aggressive behavior from Thomas, which is not going to be rude or disrespectful, but it's going to be putting up roadblocks that are going to slow the relationship down all the way to a ground and a halt. And eventually he may do that thing that he did 9 years in that relationship where he was 9 years in, and do something crazy. So I really do feel like he should just be honest and upfront with her. He was a little bit more today. He said obviously about the house moving in and that he doesn't think his house is big enough. But I feel like he can do a little bit more. And I think he's almost looking for her to grow him a little bit. Hey, it's not my preference. I think Camille wants to be soft, but the reality of the situation is she isn't soft. So they are both looking for the other person to do something that would help them grow. And I think they both need to be that for each other. But without them fully kind of really taking personal ownership of their own growth, I think this is going to be a very hard, this may do a 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but the 5th year might hit heavy. Just because of like, they may ignore a lot of the issues and try to make it just go on as it is, but then not really address some of those core issues. So I think there's core issues here that can be paved over, but need to be sorted in that sense. Because I just don't think she's going to be happy in the long run if he's not making plans. She'll make it for the first few years and resent him. And if he doesn't tell her to like back up a little bit and just believe in his leadership a little bit, give him the props and belief a bit more, I think he might also put more roadblocks up. So I'm happy for them that they made it through though. They can make it work. I just hope that they can do the work, and hopefully again the experts point some of those things out to them. Yes, it's a bit like Karen and Miles, absolutely, and that's why I'm a little bit afraid. That level of the disrespect's too much. Yes, Sean.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2 quick things. One, I had a little hope because in one of the after parties, Mim said that she had mentioned she had come back from lunch with Camille and Thomas and they were fussing with each other. So I think, and not that arguing is good necessarily good, but it is good because the person feels comfortable expressing disagreement. The person is comfortable advocating for themselves. And I think now, because they do the whole married at first sight as a marriage in reverse, like you marry somebody, then get to know them, I think it's good that he feels comfortable. I think he needed the security of marriage and the security of knowing that she was going to stay with him. And then he could really fully feel comfortable and confident in expressing himself and being a little bit more, assertive about what are the things that he wants. And then secondly, I think I'm hoping, because we need a little bit of hope with Married at First Sight at this point. Like somebody like Brianna and Vincent, who Brianna was very dominant, and it was a very, it was very touch and go with them in the beginning. But because she really liked him, she was like even kind of pushing back on kids. And then there were also some health concerns that she was thinking about, and now here they are pregnant with their second kid. So I'm thinking like it just needs both people's investment. I think they can definitely grow together. And I think now that they both have a little more security, like this is my person, I'm hopeful they're gonna lock in and really, do the work that's needed to be together.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Sean. I think some of the issue with Camille is that she's always been a leader, right? And she doesn't know how to relinquish control. And when I say that is this, she had to raise her brothers and sisters, right? That's kind of having control there. She was a star athlete, right? I think she was a point guard. That's control there. That's the most times your point guard is the leader of your team, right? She has a reputation. This was her way out. So now I think she wants to relinquish control, but she has a hard time doing so because it's really a trust issue, right? And Thomas is not giving her anything to trust in because he has no plan. When you have a person that needs somebody to establish trust or build that foundation, you got to have small wins, right? He hasn't given anything yet. He hasn't given a plan. She wants to see the foundation. She wants to lay it out, whether it's right, wrong, and indifferent. Give me something to believe in. Give me something to trust in. Give me something to appreciate you in. And then I think he'll get those. And I think they can make it for a long run. I think they'll be able to work it out. But he has to be able to be assertive and have that and have those small wins and have those arguments, right? I think there are some healthy arguments in marriage. There are healthy arguments in relationships that will help you build and get to where you need to go to. So I think that's what they need in order to enhance what they have.
Any last thoughts on them? Or Thomas and Camille? Well, listen, look. I know there's a lot to discuss, but I want to leave some on the table for tomorrow at least, because there's a lot to discuss tomorrow about this Madison Allen situation. There was the end situation that happened as well, where they had the argument between Michelle and Madison, which we will definitely explore tomorrow. I think we'll get deeper with that. You know what I mean? If no one's got anything to say, I'll leave it there. We'll definitely chop this up tomorrow. Sean, if you can give us a benediction, because we wrapping it up.
So this gonna be brief, and I promise it's not gonna be like a Baptist pastor's benediction. It's gonna be brief. So, listen, I think we learned a few valuable lessons. I think, when we speak from a men's perspective, we have to lead in honesty, especially in our relationships and in marriage. Honesty is key. And if you're not honest, what happens in the dark will come out in the light. So just make sure you're being honest and open about what you need and what you want or what you feel you're not getting. Also, vulnerability is key. It takes two people to be vulnerable, but somebody's got to start. So if you waiting for me and I'm waiting for you, it's never going to happen. So somebody has to start. So as a man, many of us like to lead. We should lead with it. We should lead with what we want, what we don't like, what's happening, what's the temperature, and not play in the dark, and hoping that somebody else is going to say it before we say it. Back to you, Coach.
Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. Listen, audience, it's been a wonderful, wonderful time. My panelists, thank you. Easton, Trey, Glenn, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. This was the men's panel. We're back, obviously, next week again, once more. But listen, we're going to chop it up tomorrow. The ladies will be one of us tomorrow as well, chopping it up. It's Karen against Karen tomorrow, okay? All right, Madison versus Michelle. We're going to have a conversation about that and the end scene, because obviously, of course, Madison pretty much called out Michelle at the end. And, you know, she really was about to start the warfare. I'm sad that they even stopped it there, because they teased us. I wanted to see more of the warfare, but I guess we'll have to wait till next week. But tomorrow we'll be back on again once more. We'll have the full panel. So make sure to tune in at 8 p.m. EST again. We'll be talking about that. Friday, you can have Jay and El Cid. We're talking about Ready to Love, show after the show. As well, and Saturday we'll have Ready to Love again, 8 p.m. EST, and then obviously Sunday we'll have Love Is Blind as well. I think we'll be back to normal 5 p.m. actually, so I'll do it a bit earlier. So we're back to early in the afternoon, so people can get a rest on a Sunday. So yeah, look, we're full on ready to go again with all the panels once more as well. So we look forward to seeing you guys at the end of the week as well. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And enjoy yourselves tonight. Much love, much appreciation. I'm going to leave you with a lovely little video, because as always, you know what I'm saying to you, this week is going to be a tough one.
Let the challenge begin.
Little black.